Hey guys. This is part 9 of What If Naruto Can Level Up. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are pain, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 25, and on the 7th day. So, you got your ass handed to you by a bunch of wet behind the ears little genin? Kisame didn't have to be psychic to know the man was mocking him. If his partner didn't kill him like he was known to, then the blue-skinned ninja was going to do it himself. He was no torture expert, but he definitely was going to make it a slow and agonizing experience. If this was the idiocy that Kakuza had to deal with on a regular basis, Kisame didn't blame the second oldest member of the group for one-offing them. You got shit in your ears. Or are you missing a few brain cells? I said I was facing two teams. One of them was led by Orochimaru's former apprentice, and the other by Hatake Kakashi. They had an unknown with them that clearly wasn't a genin. He was probably a disguised Anbu member. Kid was skilled given the amount of power he put into those techniques of his. Nothing I couldn't really handle had a fucking Sannin not shown up. Had to choice but to bolt. The man that mocked Kisame wisely kept his mouth shut. Even he knew the reputation and prowess of any of the Sannin was not to be taken lightly. Their leader frowned as he processed this. Reports have come through and informed us Jiraiya the Toad Sage has been asking about us. How much he knows remains unknown, and I wish for it to remain that way until we are ready. Pain knew that Akatsuki was a powerful group, but they still lacked vital information and resources. Some of their members had also yet to cross the boundaries between Jonin to Kage, or only just recently crossed it. Many possessed unique skills that were incredibly useful, but they still needed experience when facing superior opponents. This genin you faced. How powerful would you say he is? Ninjutsu-wise, he's pretty damn skilled. His reserves are nothing to laugh at either. Give him a good teacher in ninjutsu, and in a few years he'll be a force to be reckoned with. He's a power-type fighter for sure, though he lacks finesse and control over his techniques to make him truly devastating. The kid was wasting a good amount of chakra in his techniques despite how lethal they were. Decent and highly unorthodox strategist as well, the boy was the first Kisame encountered to let himself get hit by a technique just to set up a trap. Probably knows some seals too. Did he have blonde hair and whisker marks? The man's partner solemnly asked. Couldn't tell. The kid wore armor that covered his face and head. Though their meeting was brief, Kisame had good observational skills despite his crash and bash approach to fighting. Could have been him, but don't quote me on it. Didn't see a churka shroud. It's probably not him then. Last I heard, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki was considered a shoe-in for the title of Dead Last. Showed no talent at all in anything except for pranks, Itachi commented. Most likely it was a disguised Anbu like Kisame thought him to be. Itachi and others were pretty powerful at that age, so it wasn't that big a stretch for another to have appeared. Itachi knew his partner looked forward to testing his mettle against him if they met again. A dead last Jinchuriki? Man, I knew people tended to hate their guts, but Konoha really fucked themselves over with that one, Kakuzu's partner laughed. Kyuumo was the exception when it involved Jinchuriki, but even then there were a minority who feared and hated them. Indeed. But their foolishness is our gain, Pain stated. The weaker the Jinchuriki was, the easier it would be to capture them. And the easier it would be to achieve their goal. Elsewhere, you're heading back already? Jiraiya asked. Yeah. We did our sweep, and Anko-sensei's pretty sure none of Gado's thugs are around anymore. It had been 3 days after all since they began looking for any of Gado's thugs. Some would be smarter, but even then none of them would be talented enough to avoid capture or being sensed by them. Especially when they had familiars with enhanced senses and his maxed-out observe skill. Why? You guys find anything? The Toad Sage shook his head. Not a damn thing. Looks like you and your teammates got them all when you stormed the place. Tell Sensei I'll see him in 5 days, kid, maybe even a week at most. Don't want a repeat to happen, so I'll be setting up some protection around this place at key points. Don't forget, you and Gigi owe me an explanation when you get back, the ninja stated. The man released a sigh at the reminder. I know, kid. Here, give it to Sensei. The man fished out a scroll and handed it to his godson. The boy merely nodded and then disappeared in a whirl of wind and leaves. Don't worry, Naruto, you'll get one. Jiraiya owed his student's son that much. The man hadn't been a big part of his life since he was born. The only gift he had ever left him, secretly of course, was a small toad wallet from years back. Jiraiya knew of the hardships the boy would endure and had endured. More than once Jiraiya had been the cause of a few bad elements against him to disappear, but even then he felt it wasn't enough. XOXOXOX the travel back to Konoha had been as expected, swift. Much to the surprise of Hiruzen, who believed it would have taken the group considerably much longer. Once more the man had been left speechless at the potential and power of Naruto's gamer ability. He'd been rendered even more speechless when she gave in her report and her account of the events that occurred. Despite his impassive look during the whole of it, it didn't take a genius to know the man hadn't been pleased. And that's pretty much what happened, Hokage-sama. Anko finished her mission debrief with a bit of worry. The man in front of her had his eyes closed and was massaging his temples as though he was fighting off a migraine. The man had begun doing it halfway into the debrief, and it didn't look like he was ready to stop anytime soon. Anko didn't know if the man was pissed or worried by the way he was acting, but she guessed it was better than him shouting. Even then she knew it wouldn't be her fault because of it, merely an outlet for the anger. Oh man, Kakashi's really gonna get it when he gets back, of that Anko had no doubts. The grinding that man would get wouldn't be pretty either. But if it got the lazy ass back into shape and got him to start teaching his genin properly, then so be it. Ha! Hiruzen released a deep sigh as he processed everything. Part of me is disappointed on how this turned out, and wants to give out punishment, he said, making all members of the team, even the Jonin, gulped at the statement. However, given how I was aware such a mission had the potential of spiraling out of control and you were merely following my orders as commanded, completing your mission no less too, I can only say, well done. The man smiled and watched as the ninja and Niken exhaled in relief. As of now, you're all relieved of any missions for the next week. You've all earned it. The man's announcement soon followed up with him giving them their pay. Quest completed. A or B, but definitely not C. Main Quest 1. Assist Team 7 in protecting Tazuna. Completed. Main Quest 2. Gather as much information and evidence on Gato. Completed. Side Quest. Assist the inhabitants of Nami no Kuni. Completed. Hidden Objective 1. Discover and conquer Nami no Kuni's dungeon. Completed. Hidden Objective 2. Ensure that Zabuza and Haku live. Completed. Hidden Objective 3. Discover fast travel landmark. Completed. Hidden Objective 4. Defeat or stale Kisame until help arrives. Completed. Total rewards: 54,000 EXP, 750,000 Rios, 17 attribute points, exalted reputation with Nami no Kuni, plus 25% additional discounts from all Nami no Kuni stores / merchants, plus 1,500 REP with Konoha, plus 1,000 REP with Asagao, Haku, Zabuza, plus 500 REP with Team 7, Team 8. And Kiri's Resistance Nami no Kuni Dungeon and Fast Travel unlocked, minus 500 REP with Kisame. Your current level has increased to level 29. Name: Uzumaki Naruto. Level 29. Next level 2374/36, 300 HP, 6000 CP, 9225 STR, 115 VID, 197 DX, 181 INT, 291 WIS, 120 LUK. Def, 115 attribute points, 37 Uber Sweet. Naruto thought as he saw the level up and eagerly grabbed the pay from his surrogate grandfather. Hey, wait! No more missions for a week. That's very generous of you, Hokage-sama. Thank you. Ino bowed to her leader while the kunai concealed by her form and Naruto's threatened to pierce the loudmouth's spine. Well, if that's all, we'll be going now. Bye. Hiruzen could only blink as the two blondes, followed by their teammate, teacher, and Niken, disappeared from his sight. Maybe I should have given the team setup some more thought. Being the only male on his team, the man could only imagine what Naruto was about to go through at the moment. Oh well. It wasn't his problem. Hokage-sama. There's some more paperwork for you, Mariko announced, making the man want to cry. Paperwork was his problem. While the Hokage was lamenting his situation, teammate left the building and looked at the beautiful day they had. Okay, fine, no missions, yeesh. You can take that kunai out of my spine now. That's one option, Ino nodded but otherwise held the kunai in place. Blondie, as much as I love seeing you put my teachings to good use, put it away, Naruto grumbled as the woman smirked. You can torture and have your way with him some other time. Sport, the Yamanaka groused and put away her kunai. So what do we do now? Don't know, don't care at the moment, was all Anko said. Is what I would say if I was a slacker like Kakashi, she cackled and making them all shiver with worry. But seriously though, I think we can take a break from training for the next few days. Anko also didn't bother to tell them that she needed to come up with some new material to teach her students as well. Partially because she had yet to figure what to teach her brats, and how she was gonna confront the fact that her seal was up and running again. The woman needed to adjust to her increase in power, too. Her students were pretty good, but Anko wasn't dumb enough to not realize it was blind fucking luck than skill that saved their asses. They were learning much more quickly thanks to her methods, and due to Naruto's ability, but not enough in her mind. The woman was gonna have to do some serious thinking on the matter, and on her cursed seal. The thought made her chuckle. The old Anko would have rather died than used the dark hickey her master gave her. This Anko, however, was someone who sucked it up when it came to the welfare of her team. She didn't have the luxury or desire to be influenced by moral dilemmas. So, we're to do whatever? That's all I needed to hear. Laters, Ino declared before she flickered away. Someone's eager to blow her money, Anko commented. The woman never could understand the need for shopping sprees and clothes outside of missions. She could act the part during missions, but it had a habit of making her feel uncomfortable. Ah, well, not my problem. Enjoy your time off, kiddos. Anko's out. No sooner had the words left did she disappear out of sight and leaving both Naruto and Hinata alone. So, what do you want to do, Hinata? Naruto asked out of the blue. Normally Hinata would have loved to hear that, but unfortunately, she had family matters to see to. Sorry, Naruto-kun. Tusama said I needed to see him as soon as I returned. Oh, okay. See you later then. He waved off his remaining teammate and was left alone with his Niken. So, what now? The boy had handed off the scroll Jiraiya gave him a while ago, but the discussion wouldn't begin until the Toad Sage arrived. Which wouldn't be in a week or so. There was that primordial dungeon he could return to, but Naruto decided to wait a while before he tackled that. He was certainly strong enough now due to the large boost in level ups and skills. Guess I can take a look into that house quest now. He certainly had the money for it, more than enough he believed. There was no harm in looking into it until he could figure out what to do next. XOXOXOX as luck would have it, Naruto learned that the Konoha real estate and construction wasn't all that far from the Hokage Tower. A mere 5-minute walk the old civilian way, as there was no need to rush. The building was fairly medium in size and very traditional looking, a stark contrast to its interior, which was a blend of modern and traditional, though it had a great emphasis on the modern aspect. Welcome to Konoha Real Estate. What are you doing here? Naruto could practically hear the emphasis the man put on the word. The man's action irked the Jinchuriki. Looking for a good time. What's it look like, genius? I'm trying to find a bigger place. Naruto shot back and earning himself a few dirty looks. Your lack of tact has resulted in a loss of 100 REP with Konoha Real Estate and Construction. Your lack of tact has resulted in a loss of 150 REP with Konoha Populous shit. Naruto was kicking himself as he saw the screen. Knowing he was a Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi allowed him to know why others hated him, ignorance and fear of matters they didn't understand. Naruto somewhat understood the reason, but it didn't really mean he accepted it. You're looking for a place to live? Was the man's skeptical reply. You're an orphan. How the hell are you gonna afford it? Naruto once more had to reel in his anger and desire to lash out at the man before him. Look, I got the money from saving over the years and the amount of missions I've done so far. C and B rank ones, the mention of missions he performed got the man to perk up. So are we doing this or not? The man remained silent for a few moments before he released a sigh. You better not be pulling my leg, kid. If this turns out to be one of your pranks, you aren't gonna like it. What are you looking for anyway? Something affordable but big and wide enough to run around, Naruto stated. So cheap, huh? The man should have known. Alright, wait here a sec. Naruto, however, didn't need to wait all that long, as the man returned only a few minutes later. Alright, so here's how it works. We rank our lots the same way ninja rank their missions. D having the basic necessities but are the lowest and need quite a bit of work and isn't exactly eye candy, with S being the one with all the works and comforts and more. D lots range from 750,000 Ryo to 1,250,000 Ryo in today's economy. CS are over 1 million to above 2 million and so on and so forth. Here's what we have available. Naruto immediately put away the S, A, and some of the B rank lots away due to being too pricey for him. The boy mainly focused his attention on the lower tier lots due to his budget constraint. He had well over 2 million Ryo, maybe a little more due to his latest mission, but Naruto wasn't going to spend it all at once. He wasn't Ino. Naruto gazed into the lots for a good 10 minutes before he found one that was to his needs. It wasn't the most fetching and the outside looked like it would need some spit and polish, but it was near the woods and big enough for Hato to run around, and everything inside was working properly and up to date. How about this one? A few days later. Come on. Hurry up. Naruto shouted at his team. It had been a hassle to get both Ino and Anko to come along. Both had been busy at the time, but Naruto's persistence won out in the end. Iruka, Yugao and Hate being nowhere to be found, so they would be informed later. Naruto, what's so important that you had to show us? Ino ended the sentence with a tone of complete surprise as she gazed upon the sight before her. She wasn't the only one. So? What do you think? Naruto grinned. Ino continued to remain speechless, an act that was mimicked by her fellow kunoichi. Awesome, ain't it? It's definitely something, was all Anko could say. What could she say, really? The plot area was very large, was surrounded by a dense foray of trees and undergrowth. The lawn looked healthy but was in great need of a cut. Ino also saw a dried-up pond that needed maintenance. The house itself was, for a lack of better words, very rustic and in need of a patch job. The style of the structure was an old-style one that was used mostly by the older clans such as the Hyuga and Uchiha, but without the charm the clan's buildings possessed. But Ino summed up her thoughts in 5 words. What a piece of shit. Hey! The blonde felt insulted. That's my house, Databeo. Don't care. Your house is a piece of shit. The Yamanaka stood firm with her answer. How much did this cost you? Naruto nonchalantly shrugged as he told them the number, 1.1 million. The 3 kunoichi were floored. Are you crazy? Anko and Ino's shouts started a ringing in his ears. Hinata couldn't help but do a perfect impression of a fish. How could spend so much money on this dump? A floored Ino could think of better ways to spend such a large amount of money. Blame him, Naruto pointed at the Nikin behind him. The dog was running around the wide open space, and all the while he was chasing a butterfly for the pure fun of it. Kiba's mom said Hato's gonna be huge when he's older, and we all know what that's gonna look like. The 3 kunoichi had a clear picture and didn't need to be told twice. My apartment's great and all, but it's small for just the 2 of us. Look, I know it's not all that great to look at. But with a little work and a lot of clones I can make this place work. Anko admired his optimism but sadly had to introduce a little dose of reality. Yeah, I'm not sure how it works in video games, but building houses is different in the real world. You're gonna need to be knowledgeable on plumbing, electrical work, landscaping, the whole shebang if you're gonna make it truly livable. Clones are great and all for landscaping and the grunt work, but a bunch of the other stuff can only be learned from tradesmen and civilian schools. Even with your ability, it's not exactly something you can learn from a book. Oh, it was then that Naruto realized he might have rushed into things a bit. Sure, all the electrical wiring and plumbing were up to code, at least, he hoped so, but Naruto knew nothing about manipulating them if he wanted to make some adjustments. For not thinking ahead, your WIS and INT have decreased by 1. Oh, come on! The sudden yell would have startled the kunoichi had they also not seen the pop-up. You got no one to blame but yourself, Gaki. Now if that's everything, I got shit to do. The woman excused herself and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Ino soon left in the same manner while Hinata was more polite than the other kunoichi of her team. Scowling, Naruto kicked a small rock with enough force that it lodged itself into a nearby tree. The blonde was far from pleased and knew he had to fix this as quickly as he could. Unfortunately, Naruto did really trust some of the villagers to properly fix his house without overcharging him. Good thing this laptop's wireless. Naruto couldn't help but admire the work that was put into the machine before he began typing. "Oen, this is Oen, needs some help here. Manager, how can I help you today?" "Oen. Looking to hire some people to help renovate my new home." Manager. "I would try using some local tradesmen." "Oen, not that simple. I don't trust the villagers. Need some outside help and need it done fast and discreetly." Manager, now that I can help with. As luck would have it, a small and isolated country in Mizuno Kuni has many skilled tradesmen. I wouldn't have recommended them at first, but sources have it that they were recently relieved of a small problem. Naruto couldn't believe what he was reading but otherwise continued writing. "Oen, yeah, heard about that. Also heard their bridge project would take a couple of months. Some fight between ninja or something." Manager, you're well informed. True, the bridge will take time to be completed. Normally, you'd also need to pay for labor, materials, overtime, and protection from the journey there and back. Price also varies on the level of work you want done, too. Oen, normally? Manager, we have eyes and ears everywhere, Mr. Uzumaki. Lucky for you, the bridge should be done in a week's time, 2 at the latest. Hatake Kakashi has been using shadow clones and having his genin help speed things along. The people of Nami also feel indebted to you and your team, so I think they'd be eager to help. We'll send an anonymous message along, but it will take time for them to get back at you." Naruto sighed. The blonde would have preferred it to be done quickly but didn't want it to be completed half-assed either. "You gotta take what you can get," he thought before he typed his response. "Oen, thanks for the help." Manager, no problem. However, we aren't a charity and the information totals up to 5,000 ryo. Son of a bit, Naruto honestly should have known. The Abyss made its living off information and trade. Getting advice for free was counterproductive and not a decent way to make a living. Paying the fee, Naruto left the spacious room and went outside. If anything, he tried to complete whatever he was able to. The buy was hasty, true, but Naruto was determined to make it work. A few days later, fucking hell! A curse sung out in the clearing. The intensity carried with it scaring the local wildlife. Anko was far from happy at the moment. Once more she attempted to use a technique, molding the proper chakra ratio needed, only for it to fall flat and stop. God damn! The woman continued to fume, her anger flaring and her seal pulsing lightly as a result. While grateful for the return of her power, Anko lamented the cost that came with it. Her body reacted too quickly for her to properly comprehend what was happening, and much of her techniques were lacking in finesse and control. In short, Mitarashi Anko felt out of sync with herself, and the woman did not like it one little bit. More than a few days had passed since her team's return, and by that time, Anko believed she would have gotten a hold on everything by now. Shit! It's gonna take me a month or 2 before I'm back in the game. Shit fuck. In close to 2 months' time the Chunin exams would begin. Anko had been hoping to use that time to train and take her team on a few missions. Even with Konoha having the home field advantage, the Chunin exams were no walk in the park. They were designed to test a ninja both mentally and physically. The exams were done to promote peace and competition between others as a substitute for war, and to show off the village's current stock of ninja too. But Anko knew better than to assume it would be a fair game. The other villages would be sending their very best, and some would send their ace genin, too. Some of them being trained to kill with little hesitation compared to others. It was more or less done to scope out the competition, and eliminate those that would be seen as a potential threat down the line. Anko had fully intended to prepare her team for that time. Even if they were the best genin team of their graduation lot, it meant nothing without the proper training and skills. As she was now, she would not be able to do much in training them. There's only one thing I can do. Hope they're up for it. As she was leaving the training ground, the woman also hoped that her leader would allow her to go through with the plan, too. Otherwise, they would not be prepared for what was to come. A few moments later, "You are certain of this, Anko?" Hiruzen asked the woman. 100%. I wouldn't be recommending it otherwise, Hokage-sama. By the look in Enko's eye, the man knew she was not pulling his leg. But why now of all times, and why that area of all places? Certainly, there must be others better suited. He could understand the reasons behind it, and while they were ninja, they were still children. Gifted, in the matter of speaking, and better prepared than most their age, but children still. Hokage-sama, this is to better prepare them for the future. We both know the Chunin exams are just around the corner. I want them ready for whatever's going to be thrown at them. Hiruzen couldn't deny the logic. Even though the intent of the exams was to promote peace and unity, accidents or designs happened nonetheless during the exams. It was also another way to showcase which village had the better stock of ninja both mentally and physically. This meant better prestige, better clients, more missions, and more money. Essentially, the Chunin exams were used to help bolster the economy of a village and the country they represented. As such, it was not uncommon for some villages to play dirty and send in their aces, or hold back teams a year and give them rigorous training that made them stand out. Essentially, it was done to dominate the events and make the competition look bad by comparison. Konoha didn't do such things, despite Danzo and a few wanting to do so otherwise. A few, such as Guy, however, did hold their teams back in exam due to lack of proper skill and experience. And you're worried that not doing this will put them at risk? He asked her. If she felt they weren't ready, then there was always next year. But given their progress and record, it would be more beneficial if they participated and demonstrated their skill against the opposition. Maybe, maybe not. I'd rather be safe than sorry and regret not doing all I could for the squirts. My powers are out of sync, so I can't train them properly or push them without accidentally injuring them beyond their means. The thought of any one of them getting killed or badly hurt because she didn't do enough was unsettling. Hiruzen found it ironic how Enko of all people would take the position of Jonin instructor so seriously compared to others. Naruto really did have a way of getting people to open up to him if given the chance. Plus, I want him to kick ass too. Bragging rights and all, she grinned and Hiruzen chuckled. The man didn't doubt it was also a reason. Having been a former teacher as well, he knew it all too well. By the end of their first exam, the man had bragging rights coming up the wazoo due to how well Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru performed. They had literally dominated the exams and put many to shame. All three were very gifted, and Hiruzen had pounded everything they knew into their heads. Jiraiya's especially thick one, too. I still don't understand how others believed he was the dead last. If anything, he was average in academics, especially compared to his teammates, but well above in everything else. The tradition of placing the dead last with the Kunoichi of the Year and Rookie of the Year hadn't come into practice until a few years after his team graduated the academy. Though due to his habits and the way his teammates conducted themselves, it was no wonder many believed Jiraiya had been the dead last. Hokage-sama? Ah. Sorry, Enko, I was lost in thought. You've given me quite a bit to think on, and I'll need some time to think it over. I'll let you know my answer as soon as I can. Enko nodded, albeit reluctantly. It wasn't a refusal, but it wasn't an approval either, so it could go either way. In the meantime, enjoy your time off. I have another meeting to see to. Enko honestly wished she could. Even she didn't want to worry about her team and tried to unwind. The woman couldn't help but think about their well-being. Ugh, I need a drink, she groaned and hoped to clear her head. Or at least get hammered enough to forget her troubles. Hey, Gaki, Enko greeted her passing student. Seeing his teacher, but also noticing the mood she was in, Naruto gave a small greeting before he continued on. Even then he wondered why she went to see the old man. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki was cut off from his thoughts as a voice called out. Enter, Hiruzen ordered as he sensed the boy's presence. Hiruzen was no censor, but due to the amount of time spent with him, the elderly man was very familiar with Naruto's signature "Thank you for seeing me, Naruto-kun." Isn't that the other way around, Gigi? Hiruzen had the decency to cough. It was true, after all. Where's the pervert? God damn it, Enko! A voice suddenly cursed the boy's teacher. Naruto was caught off guard by the noise that came out of nowhere. Seconds later he saw Jiraiya's form, and his face scrunched up with displeasure. The man was lowly muttering something about disrespectful brats and their pupils. Where's your mutt? Holding down the fort back home. So, spill already, Naruto forewent the niceties. He had been patient long enough. Due to your lack of tact, Naruto ignored the message that appeared. His reputation with the Hokage was pretty damn close to the highest level possible, so a few points lost was no big loss. Hiruzen remained impassive, and had it been anyone else other than a select few, he would have reprimanded him, or her. But the elderly village leader knew that Naruto was pissed, had a right to be, and had a right to know, too. Hiruzen didn't regret it, though. Naruto was slowly coming into his own, but for his own safety, the man didn't regret the lie if it meant keeping Kushina and Minato's legacy alive. To begin, a small history lesson is in order. During the years of the era of warring states, numerous shinobi clans existed, many of which perished while others flourished and became well known far and wide. The two most powerful, the Uchiha and Senju clans, founded Konoha along with their ally clans and those affiliated with them. Naruto looked like he wanted to interrupt what was believed to be useless information, but a stern look from the Toad Sage told him to stay quiet. What many don't know today is that a third clan assisted in Konoha's creation, the Uzumaki clan of Uzunokuni. Your mother's clan, the man elaborated. Ha! So you did know about my mother? An angry Naruto accused the man. I knew it. I fucking knew it. I asked you tons of times and you lied about it, but I just freaking knew it. I fucking knew it. And the lie was for good reason, brat. Jiraiya butted in. When you were born we made a tough call and had all knowledge of them sealed away or destroyed. It wasn't exactly what you'd call an easy decision. The Uzumaki clan were a clan of unrivaled seal masters and were the envy of many others. And by many, I mean a shit ton of people. Even today the chances of finding someone more skilled than one of them in seals are slim to none. If people knew you were related to your mother you'd have been killed like the rest of your clan. The official story in Konoha was that Naruto was only given Kushina's name to honor the fallen Kunoichi. Only a few that weren't close to her knew Kushina had been pregnant after all. The rest that were in Noha were either her closest friends, or the higher-ups. Most of them were now dead, however. Huh! Though anger was still surging through him, the declaration left Naruto confused. What do you mean? It's exactly like it sounds, kid. The Uzumaki clan is gone. Kaput! Their fame in seals and their relationship with the Senju clan and Konoha made them a lot of enemies. They were wiped in the Second World War, barring the few survivors like your mom. Yuzu was an isolated and small country, but their natural defenses and the seals the clan used made it very difficult to reach. In the end, though they brought down a ton of the opposition, it still wasn't enough. Jiraiya still remembered the incident like it was yesterday. Why the hell did their relationship with the Senju clan play a role? Seals Naruto could understand, as his gamer ability allowed him to know that seals could do certain things ordinary ninja skills couldn't. The most advanced ones apparently could warp time and space and even change uninhabitable terrains into habitable ones. However, Naruto was nowhere at that level of skill. Because the Senju and Uzumaki were cousin clans. Don't know all the details, but apparently, the two come from the same ancestor. Members of both clans are known for their vitality and large chakra reserves, too. Here the man let off a humorless laugh. Some of history's most powerful ninja came from the Senju clan. Senju Hashirama, my former master, was the most powerful ninja of his time. Years after his death no ninja has ever surpassed his might. The Uzumaki didn't have any ninja on the same level, but they were regarded as one of the clans with the closest potential due to their relationship. The enemy feared that the Uzumaki would someday reach that potential and acted preemptively out of fear. As irony would have it, the Senju clan perished during the Second War, too. When it was over, I did some additional searching whenever I could. But as far as the world was concerned, Kushina was the only Uzumaki left, a fate she shared with her cousin, Tsunade. Understand this, Naruto, Yuzu and Konoha were allies and we tried to help Yuzu as best we could. Naruto saw the sincere but pained look in the man's face and his tone of voice never wavered to indicate he was lying. At least it showed him that Konoha didn't abandon his clan in their time of need. However, we were facing our own problems as well. By the time we could amass a decent amount of ninja, it was, to our shame, too late. Once we arrived everything was destroyed or beyond saving. What remained of the opposing ninja villages had been forced to retreat when they saw us. Hiruzen still remembered the rage he felt that day as he and his men slaughtered those that tried to give their fleeing comrades ample time to escape. Ultimately, their heavy losses forced them to withdraw from the war. War is costly, and the amount of fighters lost during other battles and the Yuzu invasion left them with little choice. The only thing we could do for the clan members was give them a proper burial and make certain none of their teachings fell into the wrong hands. What he and his men had retrieved had been minimal at best, much of which were common and the odd unknown sealing techniques that were integrated in Konoha's defenses. Hiruzen had no doubt in his mind the more valuable Uzumaki possessions were either destroyed or specially sealed somewhere only an Uzumaki would be able to have access to. Your mother was a child during that time and visiting Nido-sama. She was an old family member of Kushina that lived in Konoha. When the war ended and with no place left to go, she had no choice but to stay. When Mito-sama passed away, we kept a close eye on her until she became old enough and strong enough to look after herself. She earned a fairly decent reputation during the Third World War. It earned herself a few admirers in the process and many enemies, too. We never found out who your father was when she became pregnant. She died protecting you from the Kyuubi during that fateful night. She used her own body to shield you from harm even though she'd just given birth. She loved you that much. Hiruzen couldn't help as a few tears forced themselves out of his eyes. The man wasn't the only one in the room to show such emotion. Jiraiya was a veteran who lost many friends during the war, but every time he heard this it always got to him. It brought forth so many memories about the woman he eventually saw as a daughter, and the man who was like the son he never had. Naruto's face was clouded, but the small pool that gathered beneath him made it obvious he was shedding more than his fair share. While the gamer's mind prevented the psychological trauma potentially associated with emotions, Naruto still felt the emotion nonetheless. Fuck. This sucks. For years Naruto wondered if his parents lived him, or abandoned him like yesterday's trash. Now that he knew his mother loved him to the point of sacrificing her life, Naruto didn't really know how to process it. He was angry, sad, and happy all at the same time. I hear ya, kid. I hear ya. Jiraiya could understand the boy's pain. Naruto continued to let off some steam and let the tears flow for a number of minutes. Sometime afterward, Naruto took some deep breaths before he asked, "What did she look like?" Rather than describe her, Jiraiya took out a scroll and with a puff he handed Naruto a photo album. "Your mom's the redhead. She was quite the spitfire when she was your age. You two are a lot alike actually. Pranks, ramen, fighting. You even have her attack first and think later attitude along with her desire to become Hokage. All you lack is the Uzumaki clan's hair." The look Naruto gave forced him to elaborate. Common trait in the clan was red hair. "Ah. Sounds like you knew my mom pretty well," a curious Naruto noticed. "Yeah, you could say that. Kushina got me good with a few of her pranks over the years. Pretty damn creative ones, too, not to mention humiliating as hell. I took an interest in her when I noticed she was practicing seals. I'll tell ya, I never met a kid more fascinated or gifted in the art of seals than her." Hiruzen and Jiraiya knew Minato was the only one that came close to her level. But gifted as he was in the obscure field, the boy's skill in Fuinjutsu didn't come close to Kushina's own. Minato's gift was more in space-time ninjutsu and speed. Hiruzen stifled a chuckle as he recalled the many times Kushina scolded them like a schoolyard teacher whenever they made errors. I actually learned a few things about seals from her as a result. If it weren't for her, I'd have plateaued long ago. Too few masters in seals are around these days, unfortunately. Damned shame. Many would have benefited from her teachings, assuming they didn't piss her off and could handle her methods. The man chuckled and Naruto smiled a bit. I don't doubt she'd have done the same for you, kid. Naruto nodded at the man and flipped the page in the photo album. Team Kick-Ass? The boy read the writing above an old photo. Here Hiruzen chuckled. Your mother's named for her old genin team. I believed she said the name Team 14 sounded too bland and lame. Especially since they were the first all-kunoichi team in years. These are her teammates? Are they still around? The boy hoped. A sigh escaped Hiruzen's mouth and Naruto saw a sad look cross his withered face. Regrettably, all of them are no longer with us. She may have told her teammates, but both passed away some years ago. Even if they were told, I know neither one would have mentioned a word of it to anyone. This went double for her teacher. I would know because she was my wife. Your wife taught my mom? Naruto couldn't believe it. Hi. And much like your mother, my beloved Biwako died on that fateful night as well. Naruto felt bad for asking and looked back down at the picture. Biwako was in the background with her arms crossed. A serious look adorned her features, but she had the makings of a light smile. His mother was grinning and holding up the victory sign. To her right was a young blue-haired and shy girl who looked like she wanted to get away from the camera. On her left was an onyx-haired girl who looked slightly annoyed but beheld an arrogant smirk that was all too familiar to him. Hey! This girl wouldn't be from the Uchiha clan, would she? Naruto asked. Good eye, kid. That you see there is Uchiha Mikoto, and the wallflower is Hyuga Hikari. Along with your mother, all three of them would grow up to be the sum of the strongest kunoichi of their generation. Turned into some real beauties, too, the man giggled but dodged series of kunai and shuriken. No bad thinking about my mom, Ero Sennin. Kami only knew what the man was thinking. You said they were close, right? Very. Even after they married and began to have families of their own, they remained close. Mikoto is none other than Sasuke-kun's mother, while Hikari is Hinata's. Naruto's eyes widened at that. Upon looking more closely, he couldn't deny the uncanny resemblance. Hinata was almost a splitting image of her mom, minus the long hair, and it was a no-brainer knowing where Sasuke got his smirk. Did mom leave anything behind? Not much. Kushina was initially only meant to be here for a short period of time. Much of Konoha was destroyed when she passed away, and her home was one of the many that were left in ruins. All we managed to find were some of her notes here and there. The rest were destroyed beyond salvaging. Here Hiruzen pulled out a deep blue scroll with the Uzumaki clan symbol. There isn't much, but this is all she had. Noa was found, but then again it could have been destroyed. But as her only child, everything she had goes to you, the only exception being the money she earned during her time as a ninja. Common procedure in a ninja village was locating next of kin and giving them what was left. When no kin was made available, the money and artifacts were put into storage in the village treasury for a period of time. Sometimes it was done in case the last kin was too young to know about their lineage and given to them once they matured. However, if none were discovered or showed up after 10 years, then it permanently became a part of the village. But Jiraiya had informed the man that he would rectify it. The amount of money he had due to his past missions, along with being Konoha's spy master, and his Aika books, was quite extensive. Jiraiya wasn't nearly as wealthy as any of the great 5 daimyos, but he was easily as wealthy as some of the minor ones. Thanks, Gigi. Naruto held the scroll close to his chest, as if he feared it being taken away from him. With what he needed done, Naruto asked if he could be excused. You may. But before you go, Naruto-kun, I would like you to keep this knowledge to yourself. Strong as you are at the moment, there are others that are many times more powerful than you. Some would not hesitate to come after you if they knew you were Kushina's son. By this he meant by reputation of the woman herself and her Uzumaki lineage. But Naruto received a stern look from the man. Naruto's anger towards the man was burning once more. Fine. But when can I tell others? Thinking about it, Hiruzen became pensive before he answered. In 2 or 3 months' time the Chunin exams will take place. If you manage to perform well and demonstrate the necessary qualities of becoming a Chunin, I will grant you permission to talk about it. Truthfully, the man preferred if the boy made Jonin before telling him. Others would think twice when facing a Jonin compared to a Chunin. However, Hiruzen had made himself promise that he would tell the boy everything when he became a Chunin. Quest alert! The Chunin exams. Main Quest 1, passed the first half of the Chunin exams. Main Quest 2, passed the second half of the Chunin exams. Side Quest, be promoted to Chunin rank. Hidden objective? Hidden objective? Hidden objective? Hidden objective? Hidden objective? Potential rewards. Main Quest 1, 10,000 EXP, plus 1 attribute points. Reputation with Konoha increases by 500. Main Quest 2, 20,000 EXP, plus 2 attribute points. Reputation with Konoha increases by 750. Side Quest, 15,000 EXP, plus 4 attribute points. Reputation with Konoha increases by 1,000, and promoted to Chunin. Hidden objective? Hidden objective? Hidden objective? Hidden objective? Hidden objective? Failure, 2500 EXP. Potential chance of death or permanent crippling injury status effect to you or team members. Unable to speak about your family ties. Must wait 6 months before retaking test? Yes/no. The gamer didn't think twice about his decision and eagerly accepted the quest. Afterwards, Naruto thanked both men and left the room. The boy had some things to do after all. All in all, that went pretty well. Don't you think? Jiraiya looked at his former teacher. Truthfully, he thought Naruto's outburst would have been worse. The boy was much more collected than his mother was at that age. Oh, right. There's one more thing. Hiruzen resisted the urge to face palm as he saw the slightly intoxicated Jonin of Team 8. A drunk Anko was worse than a sober Anko. Drunk Anko led to many more headaches in his opinion. How the hell is she drunk? She's only been gone for 12 minutes. Jiraiya could help but wonder. A few days later, well, it was fun while it lasted, Naruto sulked. The irony wasn't lost on him considering he wanted to do more missions and training beforehand. The boy realized he probably should have made the most of it while it lasted. Then again, he did recently buy a worn-down house that needed more than some spit and polish. Thank Kami for shadow clones. But the additional repairs and maintenance that were needed were beyond him would take a while. It was livable as it had working electricity and indoor plumbing, but it was far from being eye candy. For that to happen, walls and pipes would have to be torn down, moved and altered. It wasn't the ideal home, but it was good for now, and the use of shadow clones for certain repairs helped make it a bit more homely. What you'd guys do? Oto-san believed I should take it easy, so I relaxed, Hinata informed. It had been strange seeing her father react the way he did when he was informed the mission had turned into an S-rank one. The look he bore had not been one Hinata was used to seeing. It had been one of relief, anger, confusion, and, dare she say it, pride all in one. Can't complain. So, what do you think? Ino asked the team. Think of what? Naruto didn't know where she was going with this. My shoes. Duh. The blonde stuck her legs out to show them. Nice, huh? Sure. Naruto honestly had no idea how to respond. Shoes were shoes in his opinion. You think they're practical though? I mean, they don't really look like they're made for combat. Sure, they were above the knees and not bad looking, but that was about it. Really? On instinct, Naruto blocked the first strike that was inches from striking him. The second strike was forced him block with his metal-protected glove. But the whisker-marked boy felt a large tingle in his limb and heard the sound of a clang. As though metal had struck metal. Still think they're not combat appropriate? Ino smirked. Her shoes more or less remained the same, but now had metal-like plates on them. From all the sides of the sole, Naruto saw a thin blade that took on the form of a spade. Whoa! Was all he could say. Whoa is right. Ma knew someone from the old days that now specializes in making kunoichi gear, lethal and fashionable. People wouldn't think much of them, underestimate those who wore these beauties, and then soon regret it once they had a better look at what they could do, Ino explained. Oh yeah? I know that place. Stuff they make ain't as good as Tetsu's, but they come damn close. And they have stuff all kunoichi should have when it comes to certain aspects. By that, Anko meant enhancing sex appeal and making infiltration missions easier. The woman had gone there quite a few times to prepare for certain missions. Even if they're pricey as hell, the stuff's worth the money. Ugh, don't remind me. Ino had spent nearly 2/3 of her mission money on the bloody things due to the specs and other fees. That was with her using the chakra metal to help reduce the price. They were nice and all, but the amount of clothes she could have bought with that amount of money would have been large. Especially when it came to the top designer ones. Right, enough about fashion. Hope you guys enjoyed your time off, 'cause now we'll be taking it up a notch. And by that I mean I'm gonna be pushing you brats till you puke till you drop. The thought was as unappealing as it was disgusting. Really? Awesome! An ecstatic Naruto cheered. His team members were less than enthusiastic. Had she not been used to him, Ino would have wondered what kind of person wanted to be pushed to the point of hurling. What is it, Anko-sensei? Hinata noticed her teacher's look. I'll be frank with you brats. My powers are out of whack at the moment, and I need a tune-up. Naruto and Ino scoffed at how lightly the comment was. All of them knew that due to her sudden and unexpected large boost in level and power, Enko's skills had gone up a notch. As of now, she was considered a Jonin elite, even if it was only a low tier. Naruto believed she'd be a middle tier 1 if she used the seal. Normally this was good and all, but a side effect was Enko's control over her skills taking a noticeable nosedive. Right now her techniques were either too weak or overpowered. The last time she used the Dakaso no Jutsu, Poison Lust Claw technique, it nearly ended up felling a giant tree in one go. However, the empowered acidic properties ended up causing it to fall a few moments later and turn the stump into goo. So, I managed to get Hokage-sama to take the team off the active roster for the next little while. Which means no missions. Enko ignored Naruto's whining. The Chunin exams are in 2 to 3 months away and my job is to make sure you four are up for the task. With the Chunin exams being a hectic time period, the start date had an odd habit of suddenly changing. How are you gonna do that if you can't exactly train us? Ino asked her. Simple. For the next month or so you'll be doing a combination of intense survival training and technique refinement. I spoke with your clan heads and managed to get their permission to carry it out, not that it had been an easy venture. 2 of her wards were children of the clan heads after all. If any days are remaining after we're done, we'll be using them to relax and prepare. Any questions? Ino was the first to ask. Why survival and refinement training, Enko-sensei? Easy. But first, what's the difference between a master and a beginner? The question was unexpected, but the group answered as best they could. More experience, and being wiser? Was Naruto's reply. True to the first, not always to the second, Enko knew plenty of older ninja that were lacking in the wisdom department. More techniques? Ino stated. Not always, but close enough to where I'm going. She conceded that a master generally had more techniques. Now the difference between beginners and masters are this. Beginners can know how to use a technique, but a master not only has complete control over it but knows how to use it in several effective ways. You've all got a large amount of techniques and abilities, but I'm pretty sure you've yet to increase them at a decent level? Or even master them, right? All 3 genin looked bashful, even Hadamara looked bashful. That's the big difference between a master and a beginner. Knowing a bunch of skills is good and all, but if you can't use them properly, then you're better off not knowing them. Having the odd technique here or there, such as a minor medical technique that didn't really fit your style, was the exception. Enko didn't know a lot of techniques compared to Kakashi and the Sandaime, but she knew enough. And the woman had mastered all of them to the point she could perform them with little thought. Ino could understand where Enko was going with this and merely nodded her head. Okay, cool, I get that. But why are we learning about survival training? With Naruto's ability it was kind of redundant. Because the Gaki's not always gonna be here to fall back on. Ino swore the woman read her mind. When a ninja's promoted to Chunin, the team usually splits up when enough experience is gained. There was the odd cases like the Ino Shikacho where the team stayed together, but even then they didn't perform every mission together. It was also done in case they were promoted to Jonin down the line. Where we going? Naruto asked. Initially I was gonna have you use the Forest of Death, but Hokage-sama thought it would be unwise. Enko forewent telling them about the political shitstorm that would occur if it was found out a team used it before the exams started. Ninja didn't play fair, but even then there was a line that shouldn't be crossed at times. Enko also was not a paperwork person and avoided politics as much as she possibly could. Which is why we're gonna using one of your dungeons, Gaki. What you got for us? Didn't you just say yes? I'm aware of the irony of using your ability in order to not become dependent on it. Shut the hell up. The woman didn't like that crap being pointed out. Ino and Naruto merely smirked while Hinata giggled. Hato scratched his ears. Okay, let's see. What's this? Primordial World Dungeon. Stone Age. This version Primordial World Dungeon is set during an ancient time where the weather was constantly shifting and various but dangerous creatures were abundant. The Stone Age symbolizes the day when man first began using primitive but effective tools to make their lives easier. During this period in time, many had to be creative, careful, and use whatever means to survive using rudimentary tools and resources. The presence of chakra was limited in this time, but dense clusters would cause mutations that would ultimately lead to rapid evolution in many species. This led to the development of modern man, fauna, flora, and summons. Dungeon details: this is an open-world dungeon with a day and night cycle. Certain creatures only appear at night and are stronger and give better resources. No safe zones are available unless they are created. The levels of NPCs vary from region to region and will respawn more quickly. All right, Enko believed it to be the perfect dungeon for her team. Can't believe we're gonna be spending a month or two in this place. Ino's face twisted into her known frown. Then again, it could be worse. Well, at least we'll have our stuff. Yeah, about that. Enko smiled all too unpleasantly. Oh, hell no! You're telling us we're going to a place full of Kami knows what kind of creatures, limited resources, without any gear or food? The Yamanaka didn't believe it. In those words, yes. Oh, you'll also be wearing these specially made chakra suppression seals, too, Enko added. Are you nuts? Was Naruto's reply. Even then, he already knew the answer to his own question. Limited tools and food I get, but why our chakra? Because the world isn't like the era of warring states anymore. Back then, techniques that allowed us to know who was a ninja based on chakra levels wasn't all that uncommon. It was much easier to get your target back then. Now, however, people are better informed and better prepared. A common practice nowadays is daimyos and other nobles or a dignitary is having guards that are highly skilled sensors. Getting close to target without alerting them is important. There will come a time where you'll be forced to go undercover with your chakra suppressed and take on a new identity in order to complete a mission. There will also come a time where you'll be forced to use your survival skills to, well, survive, Enko explained. I don't think I'll be having that problem, Enko-sensei. If it sounded arrogant, Naruto didn't mean it to. With his ability to store items, it was an actual fact. Enko knew he had a point, true. But what if you suddenly find yourself unable to use it anymore? From what she learned from the Abyss manager, it was highly unlikely, but Naruto didn't know that. The look on his face also proved her point. During some infiltration missions, ninja normally forewent wearing their headbands so their home didn't get into trouble if one of them was caught. That's why skilled sensors were quite valuable to anyone, be it a village or noble, as they possessed the ability to know who was a civilian and who was a ninja. Though rare, the very best of sensors possessed the ability to know when a ninja was using the chakra suppression technique. These kinds of ninja often resulted in the immediate failure of an infiltration mission. Usually, the mission was called off as a result for risk of being caught. When a ninja village was believed to have had a hand during an infiltration mission, they suffered nasty consequences. Even with his chakra suppressed, Enko knew that Naruto's chakra level would still be greater than most. Don't worry, these seals are specially made by the pervert himself. Think of them as an on and off switch, with me being the one controlling the switch. Enko herself wasn't going to be wearing it. Her goal was trying to get her skills back up to par, and having no chakra to do that was counterproductive. Besides, I'm being kind. Rather than suppress your chakra completely, these seals will merely bring down your current reserves. Enough to live, but low enough that using high chakra consuming techniques ain't all that wise. Naruto groaned as he knew the last part was directed towards him. As he was the powerhouse of the team, and the one with the most chakra, much of his repertoire of techniques were those that required a decent amount of CP. Naruto barely used the ones that only use small amounts of CP anymore due to being able to use his more powerful ones even more now. Naruto knew it was gonna be an experience that would take some getting used to. This open world dungeon will be great for you. It'll force you guys to learn new skills, enhance your physical skills, and most of all your creativity. Remember what I said, a ninja uses whatever tool or opportunity to win and survive. This place will push you guys to do just that. But first, hand over your tools, weapons, and your food too. You can keep the armor, but that's it. Enko was being generous in letting them keep their protective clothing. Seriously. I just got these. Ino whined. Fine. Keep the shoes, Blondie, it was more armor anyway in Enko's opinion. Hand over everything else. Enko almost regretted asking that by the time Naruto finally finished taking out everything that was in his inventory box. Oh, thank Kami for sealing scrolls. Some of it was merely junk, but she got rid of them. Though she could have let them keep them, the woman knew that Naruto could become quite creative and resourceful when needed. The boy would have to make use of the resources the dungeon provided instead. Once all of it was sealed away, along with the seals placed on them, Naruto used his ability, and the group found themselves blinded by a bright light. Upon opening their eyes, they were greeted by the sight of a large and dense forest below them, and upon further inspection did they realize that there was a river flowing nearby. The air was dry and hot, and it was only thanks to the shadow of the hanging rock face that the sun wasn't blistering them. In the distance far away from them, Anko spotted a series of snow-covered mountaintops. Okay, everything looks good. Here's what's gonna happen. You'll be staying here and surviving while I bring myself back up to speed. You all remember what I taught you about survival training, right? Yes, all three answered. It had been a few months, but the group remembered. Where are you gonna be? Konoha. The woman wasn't surprised by the looks her team was giving her. Konoha's stretched thin as it is right now, and even with how I am, I'm still one of the few Jonin available. If I was recovering from an injury, that'd be one thing, but I can't be off the roster for too long. You guys are genin, so you'll be seen as an exception. Plus, I have duties with the TNI division, and if I don't make them squeal, then no one will. And since we're short-staffed, I've also been chosen as one of the exam proctors. I'll come and go and check on you whenever I can, but I can't stay too long if I want to get my skills under control. This was also taking into account of the time difference as well. Think of this as another form of training. A genin needs to know how to become self-reliant. You guys can't and won't always be able to depend on me to solve your problems. I'm training you guys to be better than average, and you'll never cross that boundary if I coddle you. Powerful ninja became what they are because they didn't rely solely on their masters. The pervert told me that the fourth Hokage became who he was because he experimented, failed, and pushed on till he succeeded. It was one of the reasons why Kage-level shinobi was so common during the era of warring states. Ever since the villages were formed and peace came, and when it became common for shinobi of any village to rely on a more experienced ninja than to find themselves. Fine, a month can't be that bad anyway, Naruto believed. Actually, in game time that would be a little over 120 days, Anko dropped the bomb. What? You mean I'll be 120 days older? Ino gawked. I can make 240 if you don't stop your bitchin', she threatened. Besides, think of the advantage you guys will have. I've done this a few times before and I know others who've done it, too. You wanna know what I learned? Fresh genin and those who've only been on the active roster for less than 6 months have a 69% chance of failing the first part of the exam. The failure rate only goes up as you advance. All three paled at that tidbit of information. The Chunin exam isn't to be taken lightly, you brats. Other villages will send their top genin, and some of them will have been trained by their best ninja. I don't doubt that some were held back their first year just to come in and try to dominate the whole thing. It hadn't been the first time it happened and certainly wouldn't be the last. Death is also common in these things and waivers are science, so a village doesn't become responsible if it happens. Death's allowed. What the hell kind of exam is this? Naruto thought it was merely to show off their stuff to prove they could become a Chunin. You'll find out when you guys take it yourselves, Gaki. It would have been easy to tell them, but it would also hamper their growth potential if she gave them all the answers they wanted. Anko cared for their well-being as both individuals and as ninja. Finding a balance between the two was not easy for a first-time Jonin instructor. But you're lucky I'm being nice. Midori here will be keeping an eye on you from a distance. She'll keep me updated on your progress, and whenever I pop by she'll be my source of information. My goal is merely to observe, not to help out or bail you whenever one of you is in trouble. There'd be the exception, of course, but they didn't need to know that. Anko had made it clear that any time Midori was forced to save one of their asses, it would have a consequence whenever Anko came by. So with that being said, have fun, good luck, and exit dungeon. Anko waved and then disappeared out of sight. Enjoy yourselves, everyone, Midori hissed and then proceeded to slither away. The serpent instantly became camouflaged as she entered the tall grass, and with the wind blowing they lost track of her. Wheel, this blows, Ino was the first to speak. Over 100 days and Kami knows where facing Kami knows what without any shopping malls, and then it hit the gossip queen. No shopping malls. Oh, just kill me now. Oh God. Calm down, Ino. Little did he knew that Naruto unintentionally entered a forbidden area regarding women. Never tell me to calm down. You hear me? A murderous Ino shouted, forcing Naruto to hide behind Hinata. Good. She growled and left to go vent off some steam. What did I say? Naruto hesitantly asked. Don't answer him, Hinata, Ino suddenly declared. Gomen, Naruto-kun. Hinata apologized and said nothing. Naruto couldn't help but groan. With no weapons, minimum chakra, minimum supplies, and a bitchy teammate, this was going to be a long-ass dungeon crawl. Naruto couldn't help but contemplate on how long it would be before he succumbed to thoughts of ending his misery. Chapter 26. Walk in the Park. 10,000 odd years ago. Okay, so I think I speak for all of us when I say we need to find a safe place to make camp, right? Don't have to tell me twice. Think you can find us a spot, Hinata? Ino inquired. I can try, but the further I look the more chakra I use. The Hyuga knew the experience was to push their boundaries and make effective usage of what was available to them. She was going to have to be careful on how much chakra she used. But how are we going to make ourselves a shelter without any materials, Ino-chan? Shit, the Yamanaka curse for such an oversight. What's the big deal? The woods have tons of trees. Let's get what we can and take it from there, Naruto told them. Trees are good and all, Naruto, but it'll take more than that if we're to survive out here. Ino was no expert when it came to surviving outdoors. She'd take a nice warm house, or a tent, any day of the week. But she knew enough thanks to Anko's training. We need food, supplies, and weapons to defend ourselves. Luckily for you guys, Daddy taught me how to make some pretty strong rope from tree and plant fibers and our hair. Don't ask, she interrupted. Alright, so we got one part down. Next, we can try and gather some materials and look for a decent spot for food, Naruto added. Alright, let's split up and bad idea. Major rule about dungeon crawling in a new level or unknown dungeon. Never split up unless you're at a ridiculously high level, Naruto chimed in. He was at level 29 but the dungeon they were in had no fixed level. Meaning it could range to very low or very high. I think Naruto-kun is right, Ino-chan. It's probably best if we stick together until we learn more about our surroundings, the girl added. Yeah, good idea. It would be slower but Ino also wanted to live through the experience too. Okay, how about we find that safe zone? Quest alert. Find a safe zone main quest. Find a suitable location for the remainder of your stay before nightfall. Main quest completion, 1450 EXP. Safe zone created failure, 100 EXP. No safe zone. Chance of crippled status effect or death. Quest is mandatory but can be retaken if failed. Grr, arf. The three heard Hato bark and all three looked in the direction he was barking in. Observe. Naruto called out to see what was out there. Dire Wolf, LV. 24 HP, 2300 CP, 200 STR, 55 VIT, 92 DX, 116 INT, 8 WIS, 6 LUK, 38 Defense, 65 Elemental Affinity, none perks, Strength of the pack, effectiveness and power of skills increased by 5% for each pack member in the group. Movement speed increased by 5% for each pack member in the group. Keen senses, plus 45% effectiveness and EXP towards detection skill, ignores henge, very sensitive to powerful and pungent odors. Ancient wolf lineage, attack dog plus 3 STR, plus 3 DX per LV, plus 45% effectiveness and EXP towards collaboration techniques and tracking skill, plus 65% power and effectiveness towards biting techniques. Thick coat. The benefactor is immune to penalties from wet and icy environments, reduces power and effectiveness from water and ice-based techniques by 30%, minus 30% decrease in tolerance towards fire-related techniques. Description: Dire wolves are like regular wolves, only dire. Dire wolves are a species of wolf that lived thousands of years ago, and were far more aggressive than their modern-day cousins, attacking and killing anything they could catch. They could be found singly as lone wolves or in packs numbering 3 to 5. Packs with numbers greater than 5 dire wolves or more are generally led by stronger and bigger alphas. Dire wolves have keen senses, including a sharp sense of smell, allowing them to track their prey by scent. They could also move stealthily on the hunt, extraordinary so even, allowing them to fight efficiently by surrounding their prey and flanking it to gain an advantage before it had a chance to react. EXP earned? EXP drops? Oh, Ino became worried as 2 more wolves appeared. The Yamanaka released a sigh of relief as no more came forward and counted her blessings. Now or never, Naruto said as the first wolf charged at them. Naruto met the predator's charge by tackling it to the ground the moment it lunged itself in the air. With his superior strength, Naruto tossed the wolf into a tree, making it shudder in response, but the wolf was quite sturdy and recovered fairly quickly. But it was not quick enough to dodge Naruto's vicious jab to the face that sent it spiraling backwards. The creature soon felt an unpleasantly tight pressure on its throat a few seconds later, as Hado clamped down on it like a vice. Ino, on the other hand, was keeping her distance from her opponent. Thanks to her armor, she had a major boost in speed that allowed her to dodge and outmaneuver the ancient wolf. Retsukyaku, severing leg. Rushing forward, Ino's armed leg lashed and struck the beast with great force. Her technique, unfortunately, missed the intended target, having aimed for the head, and instead struck the wolf's left leg instead. Despite it all, Ino's technique caused a decent amount of damage and caused it to lose its balance and fall, allowing her to follow up with another technique. Sota no Toshi, Twin Heavens Drop. Flipping forward, the wolf felt Ino's leg fall upon its ribcage, the blade in her armored leg biting into the flesh and earning a pained whelp as a result. The pain was soon intensified as a second impact struck its now sensitive frame, and blood began to flow freely. The last wolf, their remaining teammate, was facing growled hatefully at the blue-haired Kunoichi. The wolf had a noticeable limp and its movements were shaky and forced. Unlike her teammates who used an external fighting style meant for breaking bones, Hinata's gentle fist targeted the muscles, organs, and chakra pathways, disabling them in the process. The act wasn't easy as her fellow Kunoichi, as Hinata lacked Ino's natural speed and reflexes. However, the training she had received was enough for Hinata to keep up with the wolf's movements and land some crippling blows on its body. As it was now, the wolf was more or less immobile and any movement it made would merely send it tumbling. Juken, Tenketsushin, gentle fist, pressure point needle. Her hand aglow with inner blue light, the Hyuga quickly jabbed a 2-fingered strike that struck the beast's forehead. The creature convulsed uncontrollably before it fell to the ground. Its breathing became labored and its movements erratic before Hinata swiftly ended its misery with a shoten, palm bottom, to the head, ending its life and turning it into particles of light. The girl couldn't help but feel bad for the creature. Upon her return, her father had gifted her with a scroll to be learned on her own accord. As such, the Juken, Tenketsushin was a fairly new technique and her proficiency was way off. The concept was fairly basic, but the technique could be very deadly if properly and if improperly executed. Normal head blows from the gentle fist were designed to render a person unconscious. A strike from the Juken, Tenketsushin, which had more condensed chakra in it despite its smaller form, was meant to make a person's death very swift and as painless as possible when striking a certain area. However, the concept and practice of it all were two different things altogether. Too little chakra wouldn't do anything a normal Juken strike couldn't do, while not enough or too much would put the victim through intense pain rather than end it. As a Kunoichi, Hinata knew she had no choice but to kill. But the girl wasn't one who enjoyed the act and thanked her father for giving her something that would at least make it quick. The sight of the poor creature writhing in pain was unsettling. It didn't deserve such a thing. She knew it was acting more on instinct than intent, but Hinata took deep breaths to calm her down. The former heiress knew she had a ways to go before she would ever use it on a person. "Hinata, are you okay?" Naruto asked her, his hand on her shoulder putting her at ease. Hi, she nodded. Naruto frowned, having made that face before himself. He knew she wasn't telling her the whole truth but would let her sort it out. "What did you get?" A dire wolf hide, and dire wolf meat," she said. "Same with me and Ino, the meat they'd use for food, but Naruto wondered how good they'd taste. He also wondered how they'd end up using the hides as well. Well, it ain't much, but at least it's something, right?" "Not nearly enough if we're gonna survive 120 days, was Ino's reply. Naruto frowned but otherwise said nothing, for he knew it was true. Without tools and weapons, or even a decent shelter, they'd have a hard time surviving. You guys remember the last time Anko-sensei taught us survival training? You mean besides the nightmares she gave me? Ino suppressed a shiver. Yeah. She said that one of the best places is somewhere that can be easily defended but also has decent resources like a river or trees. But she also said that large trees would make a decent one, too, Ino-chan. Hinata remembered the lessons as well. Yeah. But don't forget that you're less likely to find things living in trees than in caves. Trees aren't as easily defensible. The entrances of a cave could be sealed off to prevent sneak attacks. The same couldn't be said about trees. Whine. What now? An annoyed Ino asked before she realized, wait, did he just whine? Yeah, he did. Get ready! Naruto ordered and all four of them huddled up close to another. Hadamara rarely whined, and for him to do so meant that they were about to come face to face with a powerful creature. HRRR, huh? Horg! A bellowing roar was heard as the biggest bear either one of them ever saw came into view. Ino, Hinata, along with Hato were shaking as the enormous beast entered their line of sight, and Naruto didn't doubt he would be too if his gamer's mind ability didn't kick in. Observe. Bear King of the Primordial World, Aoshira, LV. HP? CP? STR? Vit? Dex? Int? Wiz? Luck? Defense? Elemental affinity? Perks? Description: formerly a short-faced bear, this creature underwent a form of mutation that greatly altered its physical appearance. Though not nearly as large as its future descendants, this beast is not to be taken lightly due to its ability to adapt and survive harsh conditions. Armed with powerful legs and forelimbs that its descendant would not inherit, this bear possesses the ability to jump and use its weight to crush its prey or shear them into medallions. Like all bears, this beast is omnivorous and opportunistic, as it will use its intimidating size to scare off and steal food away from others when possible. Due to its size, it prefers to hunt large prey. However, its lumbering and slow speed sometimes makes this difficult. Luckily, this creature will only attack if hungry, threatened, or if it feels its territory has been trespassed. EXP earned? Drops? The description wasn't lying when it said the bear was huge. It was nowhere near Midori's size if she were to transform, but by Naruto's reckoning, and this was while it was on all fours, it was the size of a large elephant. Its forearms bore a series of wicked spike-like protrusions, almost as if armor was draped over them, and it had long set of claws that looked like it would slice him in half. On its head was red fur in the style of a mohawk, and in its mouth he noticed there were a set of sharp, yellowish teeth. HRRR. The bear growled once and swiped its front paw into the ground, the action ripping out dirt and stone alike. Guys, back up slowly and don't make any unexpected moves, Naruto told them and proceeded to do just that. Are you crazy? Ino nearly shouted, and the girl winced as the bear roared once more. Trust me, Ino. That thing will only attack if we piss it off. Had they their weapons and chakra levels, it would be a different story. Since when are you the bear expert? She rebutted, more so out of fright. Didn't you read the status window? Why would I do that when a freaking bear is in front of me? That answered the boy's question. Ino-chan, we should listen to Naruto-kun. The description said it will only attack if hungry. Look at its mouth, Hinata stated. Confused, and despite her hesitance, Ino looked at the beast's mouth. Contrast to the red fur on its back, everywhere else was a dark blue. Its muzzle, she noticed, was stained red and dripping. It just ate. Finally understanding, Ino slowly began to back away from the bear. However, Aoshira released another growl and then stood on its hind legs. The Bear King was big before, now it was frighteningly enormous. The simple act made her stop in her tracks, and Ino knew that while she had a speed advantage over the beast thanks to her robe of the sylph and Ino's custom-made kunoichi legwear, a good solid blow would not end well for her. Thinking quickly, Ino pulled out a piece of dire wolf meat, which was the size of her leg, and made certain the bear spotted it. With all her might, Ino quickly proceeded to toss the piece of flesh as far as she could away from them, and hoped her gamble worked. Luckily it did, and the bear left to find the morsel. The distraction allowed the team to haul ass as fast as they could. All four of them didn't stop running at full tilt for a good hour until they were certain that they were as far away from the area as possible. All of them ignored the beasts and sights that they crossed until they knew they were safe. Bears were solitary beasts and very territorial, and their territory was based on their strength and size. A bear of Aoshira's girth and height was likely to have an enormous territory. Ha! Ha! I need a breather, Ino gasped, having pushed herself fairly hard. The speed and overall distance they had traveled, uphill and downhill, over various terrains was new to her. Had she paced herself she would be fine, but this had been a full-out sprint for your life sort of thing. Behind her, Hinata and Hato were faring just as well as she was. Naruto, the stamina demon that he was, looked relatively well all things considered. Ino would kill to have his stamina at the moment, but the girl opted to save her attribute points for now. Well, that went well? Naruto tried making light of the situation. All he got in return were some groans and sighs from his teammates. So we should probably stay clear of that area for now. Yeah, sounds good, Ino agreed, a notion Hinata and Hato mimicked. Looking up, Hinata's eyes scanned around and noticed something. Ano, Naruto-kun, Ino-chan. Look, she motioned behind them. Both blondes turned and it took them a moment to figure out what Hinata was getting at. Good eye, pale eyes, Hinata blushed at Ino's compliment. The Yamanaka was being sincere, too. The area resembled a narrow entrance-only canyon, one that was encompassed by a series of high walls of rock too great to climb down without risk of injury or death. Within were various trees and bushes scattered about, and at the far end it beheld a large waterfall that created a decent-sized basin. Naruto also noticed a winding river that flowed from the pool led downhill and back into the forest and into a nearby lake. Well, on the plus side, we found a safe zone. This time Naruto's laugh was joined by the others. Talk about luck, Ino couldn't believe it. From almost getting eaten by a bear to finding a safe zone, it was unbelievable in her mind. Mina, we shouldn't be too hasty. Something could be living here. As much as enjoyed their good fortune, Hinata couldn't help but point that out. Both Naruto and Ino knew the girl had a point. The area was good for a safe zone. It had fresh water and it was in an area that could be very defensible. The high rock walls also made it impossible for effective sneak attacks, too. However, if something, or some things, lived here, then it meant they'd have to be cleared out. Alright, keep your eyes peeled, people. Hinata, think you can spot anything? Naruto asked. I'll try, was her answer. Fortunately, the area wasn't too wide and there weren't that many places to hide from her clan's famous Dijutsu. Even with the limited chakra levels she had, her improvement with her Byakugan allowed her greater vision than when she first joined Team 8. Hinata was able to scan the area quite thoroughly as a result without using too much chakra, and the young Hyuga found nothing worrying. Nothing? Naruto asked her and released a sigh of relief. I wasn't able to see into the cave up ahead, though, Hinata pointed out. A cave. Of course there's a cave, Ino muttered. The scene reminding her so much of a cliché horror film Enko made her watch. Hato and I will check it out, Naruto informed the two before he and his Niken moved towards the entrance. With his enhanced senses, Hato led the way, the striped Niken sniffing the air, the ground, and even the plants to look for any signs of life that might be nearby and just waiting to pounce on them. Upon reaching the entrance, Hato's stance remained the same and Naruto didn't see a noticeable change in his behavior. Entering the cave, having been deemed safe by the ninja dog, the blonde and Niken saw nothing more than a large empty cavern with a few stalagmites and stalactites. Taking a look around, Naruto was relieved to discover that the cave could only be accessed by the way he came in. We're good, Naruto declared and watched as both Ino and Hinata come in. Kinda damp, Ino noted, but knew it was better than nothing. Can't complain though. Probably be as good as it gets, really. I'll say. Once we get a fire going it will dry things up a bit. Naruto knew it was far from ideal at the moment, but in time they'd make do. Time, Naruto announced and watched as the daily clock told him the hour of the day. Alright, it's almost noon, so let's try and make the most of it. Quest completion. Find a safe zone main quest. Find a suitable location for the remainder of your stay before nightfall. Completed. Rewards earned 1450 EXP. Safe zone created. Quest alert. Setting up base camp main quest. Improve the safe zone by making the follow. Ignoring it for now, for the next hour or so the group scoured and made certain no other entrances were about. When none were found they then began to make the area a little more hospitable. Ino, Hinata, and Hado began to collect various rocks and branches while Naruto was tasked with securing the entrance due to his greater STR levels. From a distance, Midori observed the group and gave off a smile when she noticed Naruto take out a kunai from what she assumed was a seal hidden in his sleeves. I was right, that boy is smarter than he looks. Having been informed of Anko's plan before she came here, Midori knew what the woman wanted of her team. Part of it was the woman not wanting them to rely too much on her teachings, and taking everything she said to heart. She wanted them to find themselves and know where their strengths and weaknesses lie, thus using them to their advantage. Anko had learned firsthand that not questioning one's mentor wasn't always a good thing. Just because a master had a different opinion or style than his or her own master, didn't mean it was automatically the improper course of action. The wrong course of action was taking a master's words as law rather than come up with their own conclusion. Due to her loyalty to him, despite knowing it was wrong, Anko had followed Orochimaru's orders without question. The results hadn't been pretty to say the least. When Anko had told them to leave behind their weapons, to which they all obliged, Midori knew the woman had actually been disappointed and touched. Touched they listened to her but disappointed that they didn't question it either. Skilled as they were still genin and they had a chakra handicap as well. Were they chunin or jonin, Midori would expect them to make do with only the resources that the dungeon provided them. The serpent was happy to see that at least one of them had the common sense to act like a ninja. Midori just hoped the other two would, and she hoped it would be soon. With that last thought in mind, Midori left them to it, and went off in search of dinner. Sometime later, you had a kunai on you the whole time. Ino couldn't believe it. Obviously. With Anko-sensei you never know what's going on in that head of her. For all we know this could be another test of hers, the ninja stated. Naruto had placed them on his sleeve armor if he ever needed to perform a quick draw, and to increase the level of the lightning flash blade creation. Having a kunai also came in handy when he made those stakes for the front entrance. As she was about to retort, Ino stopped and let her mind process those words. Okay, fair point, this was Anko they were taking about after all. What else did you sneak past her? Not much. The seal's current level only lets me hide some shuriken and kunai. Even then I don't have that much. 9 kunai and 25 shuriken is all I got. Naruto regretted not sealing the Fuma shuriken, but it would have reduced the amount he could seal in the process. What about you, Hinata? How many saban you have on you? 53. They are also laced with a poison that causes paralysis, too, was the girl's answer. Hinata? Ino couldn't believe it. Naruto she could see pulling something like this off, but Hinata? The Yamanaka was pleasantly surprised by the act. Anko really was doing wonders with the wallflower. Okay, so we aren't so helpless anymore. Ino was glad for that. Truth be told, Ino had 2 custom knives from the leftover metal in her boots that she accidentally forgot to hand over. Teacher or not, Ino wasn't going anywhere without protective gear. The girl had them initially made to be deadlier than regular kunai and most swords, even if they were short. At least I still have my weapon shoes to fall back on. They weren't as versatile, but they were more lethal than the kunai and shuriken Naruto possessed anyway. During their training, Anko had commented that Ino was also fairly dexterous. With enough training she could be ambidextrous, so her upper and lower body would be pretty lethal when using quick and light weaponry in combination to the fighting style she was learning. Hi, but we'll have to be careful. We have to make them last and use them sparingly, Hinata voiced. All of them knew part of the test was for them to make do with what they had. Hinata's right. Comforting as they are, kunai and shuriken aren't exactly going to be of big help against the bigger creatures here unless we know their weak points. Even then it was a matter of luck and precision. We'll cross that bridge later. Right now we only have a few hours till sunset. We need just enough for food and to make a decent shelter. A fire would be simple enough due to his katan, Hidama. It wasn't much, but it would make do. The seal Anko placed on them only allowed the kunoichi of the group access to 300 CP each. Due to his higher chakra levels, Naruto was given access to 750 CP. However, Naruto's control over the amount of clones he could make was far from perfect, but it wasn't bad either. At his best, he could will the creation of 6 or 7 clones at the lowest, but with his current chakra levels they'd serve more as scouts than anything. Shadow clones with more chakra in them enabled them to take on better hits, and with less than 100 CP each, including himself, the clones wouldn't last even if they blocked a decent strike. Naruto would have to use the technique sparingly due to the risk of suffering from chakra exhaustion. Hinata and I have enough wood in our inventory box for a decent fire, but they're too brittle to make a shelter. We need something stronger. Ha! Is it just me, or is it a little nippy all of a sudden? True enough, the genin spotted their breath in the air, and the thought worried them. Shit! The sun's still up and it's already getting this cold? We need to move, now! None of the members had to be told twice as they made their way out of the safe zone and back into the unknown. They knew they needed to move quickly and they had a short amount of time to do it. Using Hato's senses they tracked the nearest creature. However, as their luck would have it, said creature ended up being a large pack of wolves. Thanks a lot, Mutt, Ino muttered and took out the 2 knives from her boots rather than accept Naruto's kunai. Poison-soaked custom-made twin daggers. Uncommon quality bladed weapon durability 160/160, 80 per dagger. A set of custom-made daggers made high-quality chakra metal to increase durability and allow one to better channel chakra into it. While not the strongest or deadliest of weapons in the world, these 10-inch daggers can still be deadly in the right hands. The purpose of using a tanto was meant for assassination due to its small and easy-to-conceal size. It was also not uncommon for daggers to be soaked in venom or some form of poison in order to compensate for its short length. Originally designed for stabbing, these custom-made tanto have a keen double edge that enable it to be used as an effective slashing weapon. In addition, their small size and color allows them to be hidden away in a secret holding place in Ino's boots. Attack power 33 to 45 per dagger. Requirements: basic bladed weapon mastery skill bonus stats. Plus 35% increase towards movement speed in Tanto Justu, plus 35% chance to cause critical hit. 85% to cause poison status effect. Feeling her team's gaze on her, Ino commented, "Oh, don't look so shocked. Did you really think I wasn't gonna have a trick up my selves?" Both ninja knew better than to argue. Ino was easily a saner version of Anko after all. "Hato, you watch Hinata's back," Naruto ordered. Despite Ino knowing a bit, Hinata was the official team medic. Should any one of them become too injured, it was up to her to heal them with what little chakra she had. However, before they could move in, another beast made itself well known. "Observe." Naruto called and watched as the information appeared. Alpha Dire Wolf, LV. 27 HP, 3000 CP, 450 STR, 69 VID, 120 DX. 136 INT, 18 WIS, 10 LUK, 49 Defense, 80 Elemental Affinity, none perks, Leader of the Pack, effectiveness and power of skills increased by 10% for each pack member in the group. Movement speed increased by 10% for each pack member in the group. Keen senses, plus 65% effectiveness and EXP towards detection skill. Ignores henge. Very sensitive to powerful and pungent odors. Ancient wolf lineage, attack dog plus 5 STR, plus 5 DX per LV, plus 65% effectiveness and EXP towards collaboration techniques and tracking skill, plus 85% power and effectiveness towards biting techniques. Thick coat. The benefactor is immune to penalties from wet and icy environments. Reduces power and effectiveness from water and ice-based techniques by 50%. Minus 50% decrease in tolerance towards fire-related techniques. Description: alphas are like regular dire wolves, only alphas. Alpha wolves stand out in the pack as they have not only a white coat but are bigger, faster, and are generally the fiercest member of the pack. As a result of being the leader, the alpha is better fed and thus has greater abilities than the rest. Even when its pack is reduced to only itself, it is not to be taken lightly. EXP earned? EXP drops? Great, as if the larger number wasn't enough, the perks these guys had meant they were going to be much faster. The alpha especially so. Hinata, give us cover fire. Hi, the girl assured him. The group didn't need to wait much longer as the alpha barked and ordered its pack to attack them. Ino, being the quickest member of the group due to her natural speed and the gear she wore, was the first to lash out at a nearby enemy. The swift kick sent the wolf tumbling away before Ino jumped spun above another. The kunoichi landed a few slashes on its back as a result before dodged another one. While Ino was taking care of her opponents, Naruto began taking care of his own. While not as quick as Ino any longer, Naruto was far from being a slouch and was easily the physically superior member of the group. Rather than dodge, Naruto let a wolf pounce before he used his strength to grab it out of the air with one hand and stabbing it with the other. The blonde followed up by spinning and tossing it harshly into a tree where its movements became sluggish. The second wolf that attacked him was launched as Naruto ducked and kicked out with both legs. The blow struck its ribs and knocked it into another of its comrades. Naruto heard a thud from behind and was greeted with the sight of a down but still alive wolf. A fine piece of metal was in its front and back leg. Realizing what happened, Naruto shouted, "Thanks, Hinata!" before he took two kunai and ended the beast. Grarug! An enlarged Hato released a primal bark at the two wolves in front of him. His duty was to protect Hinata, and as a Niken with a guard dog lineage he was going to do just that. Stunned by the roar, Hatamara pounced on the nearest one, biting deep into its neck. The transformed Niken then used his great strength to toss it aside and into a tree. However, he released a pained growl as the other wolf bit into his hind leg. Another then proceeded to come in and bite him on the shoulder, but Hato merely clamped down on its exposed neck and began raking at it with the flame claws. The large Niken didn't have to worry about the wolf attacking him from the back. While the foe was preoccupied, Hinata took care of it by hitting it with a few saban. The poison-laced projectiles did their duty, and the wolf fell to the ground. This gave her the opportunity to land a series of jabs that, due to its current state, caused a great deal of damage to her opponent. Once done, Hinata shot a samban at a wolf that tried to sneak up on Ino. The thin metal hit its eye, making it yelp in the process. This alerted the blonde, who retaliated by slicing, dicing and kicking its head in. Ino's movements were far from the smoothest, but they were quick and precise enough to get the job done. However, it was then that Hinata realized that something wasn't quite right at the moment. The girl had counted 7 wolves, 5 of which had been dealt with. But Hinata only saw one in front of her. By the time her team finished off the final wolf, Hinata's mind didn't process the situation fast enough. "Hinata!" Naruto shouted as the alpha pounced on her. The girl reacted as quickly as she could, but the beast's greater speed and size sent her tumbling still. Hinata did manage to reduce the damage but crossing arms, but the force behind it was still impressive and the girl was soon kissing the ground. The alpha dire wolf didn't let up and pinned Hinata with its large paw and snapping at her in the process. Unfortunately, the wolf never met a Hyuga before and soon its face felt the painful sensation that was associated with the clan's martial arts. The pain served to not only anger the wolf but distracted it as well. Barreling into it with no choice to react was Hato's large form. The small creature liked Hinata. Rage surged through him upon seeing what happened to her. Transformed into his great canine form, Hato used his newest technique, the Jo no Kuchi, Maw of the Tyrant King. Whereas the Voracious Sin was designed to drain one's chakra, this technique was designed to steal health and have a chance to cause the bleeding status effect. Currently his powerful jaw was clamped tightly on the creature's neck, his flamed paws turned claws raking into the creature's hide as it struggled to get loose. "Banrai! Heavy thunder!" Naruto shouted as he landed a devastating blow on the creature's back. The male then followed up with a Gawara Saiken, tile-crushing fist, to its ribs and continued to land blow after painful blow. Retsukyaku, severing leg. Ino followed up, her leg acting like a scythe and slicing well into the beast's back legs. The kunoichi then continued her assault but cutting the creature with her kunai. What finally ended it was a swift jerk from Hato that caused a loud snap to be heard in the clearing. The alpha's eyes went dull before it finally disappeared into nothingness. The loot, however, was forgotten as the group checked on their teammate. "Hinata! You okay? Are you hurt?" Naruto asked and began checking everywhere. I'm alright," Hinata stuttered at the act. "Oh, for the love of, hands off, Naruto. Hinata's not someone you can just grab and poke all you want. Though I don't see her complaining, the blonde smirked. Hinata blushed even more. No. I'm fine, really. Thank you, she said. Arf. Hinata watched as Hato jumped onto her and began licking the girl. Thank you, Hato, she smiled at her little savior, and earning herself another bark. Hinata, I'm sorry. It was our job to look over you, and we blew it. Naruto cursed himself for not paying closer attention. With the hype of the fight, he had lost sight of the alpha, and Hinata could have been severely hurt. It was a good thing the gamer ability simulated pain rather than the actual injury most of the time, otherwise it would have ended on a worse note. Hinata knew she couldn't say it was okay, she'd be lying after all, and they all knew it. Were it not for Naruto's ability, she'd be in much worse condition. Instead, Hinata said, that's why we're here, aren't we? To learn and make certain we don't make these mistakes? To get better and be the best? Somehow her smile managed to reach him, and Naruto nodded. Ino then added her own 2 cents as well. I'm no expert, but even I know the road to Hokage isn't easy, Naruto. I'm pretty sure Kage Ninja got to their level by learning from their mistakes rather than make excuses and feel sorry for themselves. Like Anko-sensei says, you buck up. The last comment made him snort and laugh. Heh, that would be something she'd say. Despite being nuts, Anko had some pretty solid advice and wisdom. Right, let's get this stuff back. After collecting their loot, which comprised of 4 animal fat, 6 dire wolf meat, 3 small bones, and 5 dire wolf fur, the group realized that it was beginning to get even colder. Knowing time was of the essence, all 4 of them began grabbing anything nearby that looked useful. Naruto uprooted several small trees, collected some nearby wood, and grabbed several stones before he put them into his inventory box. Hinata and Ino did the same, but also collected several herbs and plants as well. The girls would see if they could be used as healing salves or poisons once they returned to camp. A special skill has been created due to a special act. By rummaging through the nearby environment for materials, you've created the passive/active skill Foraging. Foraging, LV1. Next, LV 0% per 100%. Foraging is a basic but very useful skill in which a person attempts to gather nearby resources from nature for a multitude of reasons. Asterisk 70% chance of finding consumable common quality item, asterisk 30% chance of finding consumable uncommon quality item, asterisk 15% chance of finding consumable rare quality item, asterisk 5% chance of finding double the amount of resources, asterisk chance of finding specific items are also affected by WIS and DX level, as well as certain skills talk about useful. The group thought. Grr. Arf. Arf. Hato's bark got their attention. What's he going on about? Ino asked and hoped it wasn't another predator. Ordering them to hide themselves as best they could in the bushes, Naruto climbed up a tree and chanced to look. Holy shit! It's huge! Were his thoughts before he used observe. Mature tall elk, Megaloceros, LV, 30 HP, 3100 CP, 250 STR, 86 VID, 124 DX, 156 INT, 10 WIS, 6 LUK, 43 Defense, 70 Elemental Affinity, none perks, Swift Prancer, movement speed increased by 80% when escaping combat. Movement speed increased by 30% during combat, evasion increased by 30% during combat, keen senses. Plus 60% effectiveness, and the XP towards detection skill, ignores henge, very sensitive to powerful and pungent odors and sounds, deadly, crowned, header, plus 115% increase towards head attacks, plus 65% resistance towards unconsciousness and daze status effect caused by physical means, plus 30% increase in effectiveness towards intimidation skill, dense fat. Immune to penalties from wet and icy environments, reduces power and effectiveness of water and ice-based techniques by 50%. Description: Megaloceros, also known as the tall elk or giant elk, are large but incredibly quick herbivores that are found mostly in forests and mountains. Because of its large size and deadly antlers, many creatures avoid it when possible for fear of being charged and gored. Despite this, the creature knows when to fight and when to take flight when it encounters some of much fiercer the predators. Sneaking up on one is a difficult task due to its keen sense of smell and hearing. Few juvenile megaloceros grow up to become their mature equivalent, as they are often preyed on before they can properly defend themselves. Once they mature, they become solitary creatures and can survive harsh winters due to their exceptional coat. Finding one is both difficult and fortuitous due to the resources they grant. EXP earned? EXP drops? What is it? Ino asked the moment he came back down. It's a deer, big one too, he said and prepared himself. How big? Bigger than a horse. Its antlers are freaking huge. The blonde had his arms stretched out to emphasize their size. Never before had he seen such a large deer. Damn it. Too bad we don't have any rope. Ino's statement earned some confused looks and she elaborated. Sheikah's clan own a bunch of deer and more than once I had to hear him whine about how troublesome their deer's antlers. Some of the bigger ones are pretty much guaranteed to get themselves stuck or wrapped around something if they aren't kept in a fairly open area. It's the reason why they make certain they don't grow too big when they lose their old set, she explained. Deer lose their antlers? Ha, go figure, the information was kinda cool in Naruto's opinion. So their antlers are as much a weakness as it is a strength. Good to know, he breathed and frowned as he spotted his breath. It was getting colder by the minute, and Naruto knew they needed to work fast. You know any binding techniques, Ino? Naruto asked. A few, but none are good enough to hold that thing for long. It would be another story if she were a higher level or if some of her skills were at a higher level. Ino was beginning to see why Anko sent them here in the first place. Damn, Plan B then. You guys remember what we did with Tora? The group remained silent before they realized where he was going with it. That could work, Hinata nodded and Ino had to admit it had some merit to it. We'll leave it to you guys then. Come on, Hato! Naruto ordered and snuck away with his Niken as quickly and quietly as he could. Meanwhile, Hinata and Ino prepared themselves by scaling up the nearby trees and watching the tall deer's movements. Having seen her fair share of deer, Ino would freely admit that the Nara deer had nothing on this oversized plant eater. The antlers alone would be over half the size of a normal deer. Let's hope this works. The plan was simple, but then again, it had been used on a smaller animal as well. Hearing a series of whistles, both kunoichi sprung from their posts and appeared before the creature. The axe startled it enough to send it scampering away at incredible speeds. Holy shit! Ino knew it was going to be fast, but she didn't think it would be this fast. Fortune smiled upon them, as the beast was unsuspectingly nearing Naruto's location. Timing it right, Naruto pounced on the creature along with Hato. Ino and Hinata made to cheer, but Lady Luck decided to stop blessing them. Another creature with dark fur, a large and bulky frame, shot out from the opposite side and collided with their target. Unable to handle all three of them, coupled with the sheer force behind the impact, all four of them went tumbling down to the ground. Naruto and Hato were dazed for only a few moments, but managed to get up. With their vision cleared, both got a better look at the intruder. Oh, you're fucking kidding me, Naruto cursed. Lady Luck was a being bitch at the moment. Mature Smilodon, LV. 39 HP, 4300 CP, 350 STR, 116 VID, 132 DX, 176 INT, 14 WIS, 8 LEK, 58 Defense, 50 Elemental Affinity, none perks, Apex Predator, plus 1000 HP, plus 25 to all physical stats, except defense, plus 35% increase in effectiveness towards intimidation skills keen senses, plus 70% increase in effectiveness and EXP towards detection skill, ignores henge. Very sensitive to powerful and pungent odors and sounds, deadly maw, plus 150% increase towards bite attacks, plus 35% increase in effectiveness towards intimidation skill, night vision, renders the user the ability to see well in darkness, nightly vision penalties are annulled. Plus 25% increase in critical hits when using stealth skills at night, insulated fur, immune to penalties from wet and icy environments, reduces power and effectiveness of water and ice-based techniques by 50%, minus 50% decrease in tolerance towards fire-related techniques. Description: the Smilodon was easily one of the deadliest of beasts of its era. Its size, speed and deadly teeth enabled it to bring down prey and predators that were twice its size and weight. While a solitary predator, one generally found in cold, lightly wooded areas, it wasn't uncommon for some to form prides. The island's mountains are the perfect habitat, as the mammal's fur keeps it safe from the bitter temperature. While its huge fangs are excellent for delivering death blows, the creature's claws can be just as deadly. EXP earned? EXP drops? Upon noticing them, the ancient cat growled before releasing a bellowing roar that sang throughout the forest. Hadamaru took the challenge personally and morphed into his enlarged form. Instincts had the dog challenging the saber-toothed cat. The two sized each other before they charged. Naruto followed quickly after his Niken and watched as the two barrel into each out. Shit just got real, it seemed. Chapter 27 Break 3, 2, 1. And survival training is done, Anko announced. Congrats, brats, you passed. Fina fucking LLY. Ino shouted to the heavens. After 4 freaking months we can finally leave this kami-forsaken place. It wasn't that bad, Ino. Naruto's comment earned him a knowing look from his fellow blonde. This from the guy who almost went through ramen withdrawals. She smirked at his embarrassed blush. Then again, you fared better than Hinata's cinnamon bun withdrawals. Now was Hinata's turn to blush, especially since she was munching on said sweet roll, courtesy of her teacher. Even now it still surprised the Yamanaka. Hinata's addiction to cinnamon buns was probably worse than Naruto's addiction to ramen. Oh, come on. You guys can't say you didn't have fun? Anko stopped chuckling as she earned a look from 4 sets of eyes. Well, I don't care. Your bitchin' means nothing and I stand by my decision. It all worked out well in the end, didn't it? You got stronger, didn't you? I mean, look at you guys. On that they could agree. To their constant abuse of Naruto's ability, along with him being able to manipulate time in a dungeon, and by that they were counting before they stayed in this one, all 4 of them had grown, both in power and skill. Their movements were much smoother, virtually all their skills, physical-based ones mostly, were mastered and now wasted little energy. And they discovered multiple ways to survive in harsh environments using minimal to no chakra. The only downside was the fact they were now approximately 8 months older. Except for Hato, all of them were now technically 14 years old. Or close to it. As a result, coupled with the sort of living conditions they had to endure, all 3 genin lost a good deal of baby fat, making all 4 look much different compared to when they first entered. Luckily, Naruto's gamer ability adjusted their armor and clothing for an automatic fit. Ino and Hinata had grown by quite a few inches, and it was evident they were developing womanly curves. Hinata's former hime-cut hair was now long, almost reaching the same length as Ino's own. And as both of them had to be smart with their chakra, the two had been pushed to their physical limits practically every day for almost 4 months. Due to this and their diet, the two kunoichi had developed strong lean muscles, and though they weren't very pronounced they were still visible. Hato looked pretty much the same given that Niken grew more slowly compared to ordinary dogs. But it was evident he was bigger. In addition, he was slowly starting to develop a small mane that resembled his transformed state. Naruto's change was quite evident. Before meeting Anko, and due his lack of a proper diet, it was clear that he was more or less the runt of his class. Now, thanks to the changes in lifestyle, the boy was now standing at a decent 5'5", sported a very toned frame, and shoulder-length hair. He also sported scar on his left eye, but the ocular organ worked just fine. Even with his gamer's body, the group discovered that certain injuries from opponents with much higher levels than their own had a chance to leave such marks. Months earlier, Ino and Hinata worriedly watched as Hato and the great cat crashed into one another. Both went tumbling down with a thud before they were seen clawing and attempting to bite the other. The two were rendered even more worried when the large feline managed to mount Hato and pin him down. Power strike! Splinters flew as Naruto's makeshift bludgeon struck home on the large cat's head. The branch was far from sturdy, evident by it being destroyed after a single use, but it served its purpose. "Get the fuck off my dog!" Growling, the cat snarled as its attention now diverted from Hato to Naruto. A big mistake, as it allowed the Niken to squirm out of its hold and clamp down hard on leg while his paws began raking the creature's back. Roar! The creature howled painfully, angered that the one causing its pain was out of its deadly fang's reach. Power strike! A stone in hand, Naruto struck one the cat's dagger-sized teeth and watched as the force behind said blow crack and dislodge it. A critical hit has been landed. Fuck you! Naruto shouted and was sent sprawling from the unexpected strike to the face. Pain flared unlike he ever felt before, and Naruto could feel blood freely flow. You are suffering from the mild bleeding status effect. Fuck, Naruto cursed as the pain flared up once more. So much for the custom forehead protector's added protection, he couldn't help notice. Naruto-kun! Hinata skidded to a halt, her palm alight with chakra to stop the bleeding, while Ino joined Hato. Ino knew she was no Naruto or Hato when it came to physical strength, but the girl knew she had speed and something else up her sleeve. Hato, hold back! She ordered the Niken. Here, kitty, kitty! Ino taunted and prayed she was quick enough to evade this thing's swipes. She wasn't all too keen for being on the receiving end of those wicked claws. Taunting some more, the girl watched as the cat roared before it shot forth at frightening speed. Ino could only duck, bob, and weave the large creature's striking attempts several times before she felt pain on her side, followed by her noticing herself go airborne. The cat's speed proving superior to her own, even with the boosts from her gear. Ino! Naruto and Hinata shouted, watching as the Yamanaka heiress roughly land on the ground, the air rushing from her lungs as a result. Fuck! She cursed up the pain, but the teen had little time to let it register as the ancient apex predator made its way towards her. Gotten timed this right. Ino knew if she messed up she'd be in a world of hurt. Letting the cat get in as close as needed it to, Ino then sprung her trap. Ninpo, Hyaka Ryaren, ninja art, profusion of flowers. A flare of chakra flashed before the cat's eyes before Ino showered the creature with a fine pink dust. It was far from perfect, but the technique served its purpose. Already she could see the befuddled enemy veer off course, crashing harshly into a large tree head-on, and most likely harming itself in the process. Ino and her team then watched as it began to wildly attack random spots, not knowing its prey was well out of its reach. The technique was one of her mother's personal creations. Much like Ino, Yamanaka Benton was more of a speed-type fighter than a power-type one, and the woman had developed several techniques to make great use of her speed. The current one was a minor illusion mixed with powered poisonous flowers she enhanced by her chakra. Ino knew she lacked the skill, and drive for that matter, or control to one day classify herself as Genjutsu mistress or even an expert for that matter. However, her mother had developed methods that more or less mimicked their effects. The Ninpo, Hyaka Ryaren, though one of her mother's most basic skills, was one such technique. When enthralled, it would cause others to see a storm of flowers and make them see multiple versions of the caster. Before Ino could suggest anything, the Yamanaka watched as Hato spun and drilled into the beast's side, sending it crashing once more into the tree. The Niken didn't stop there though. Hato then proceeded to viciously bite down on its neck and rake its body wherever he could. In its weakened and vulnerable state, the cat was unable to properly fight off its aggressor. All it could do was roar and kneel in pain before a series of well-placed strikes to the head, courtesy of one angry-looking Hinata, ended the creature's life. Flashback end. While Ino managed to get away with nothing more than a few scratches, despite Hinata's best attempts, Naruto ended up with his scar. From then on, the group had made it a goal not to attack Smilodons until they were stronger, and unless they had no choice. The group was smarter whenever they encountered them, too. Can't wait to get home, Naruto heard Ino's voice. I'm taking a shower till the hot water runs out. Naruto knew why. Numerous attempts at creating a hot spring, or some form of heated bath, had all ended in failure. So it had been nothing but cool river baths or smell like crap. Bad enough I smell like the mud at times. Whine, they heard Hato whine. She's got a point, Hato, Naruto conceded, the comment earning a betrayed look. You're getting a good scrubbing once we're back. The following comment earned him a growl from the Niken. The dog was quickly placated once Hinata began petting him. Lousy mutt, he muttered low enough to not be heard. Part of him was jealous, too. How was your time, Anko-sensei? Hinata asked. Productive but boring as hell. As of now she was more or less back in the swing of things. This meant Anko could train her team once more without risk of causing them serious injuries. Aside from training and popping in whenever I could to see you guys, nothing's changed. Well, except one. I wasn't there to see it, but from what I heard, Hokage-sama almost tore Kakashi a new asshole. Of all the damn luck, the woman would have paid top Rio to watch that. Her Kage had also disciplined Sakura as well, though nowhere as intense as he did her teacher, telling her she needed to shape up or she would lose her genin status and be sent back to the academy, or the reserves. By the way, turns out Nami named the bridge after you, Gaki. They called it the Great Naruto Bridge, or something. What? Naruto blinked. Congratulations, Naruto-kun, Hinata smiled. Ino, on the other hand, what? Well, that's just great. We were there too, you know. What about us? We helped. We risked our asses. Where's our recognition? You weren't the one defending the bridge from an S-rank ninja, Ino, was Naruto's excuse. That's 'cause that double-crossing bitch knocked me out. The Yamanaka still wasn't over the incident. Asagao, or Asagio, or whatever the hell her name was gonna be in a world of pain when she saw her again. A light howl, one that did not belong to Hato, was heard. Eh? Enko idly wondered where that came from before she spotted two small, dirty-looking pups running their way. What is? Oh no. Leave me alone. Ino held onto her hair for dear life and looked ready to run. It's your fault, Ino, Naruto laughed, picking up the two dire wolf pups before they passed him. Enko-sensei, this is Suki and this is Yoromaru. That's nice. Still doesn't explain why you have two wolf pups with ya, Gaki. Enko had to admit that they were cute. Ino-chan tried a clan technique that could turn an enemy into an ally, Hinata explained, having taken the pups from Naruto. Enko nodded, she was following so far, but because we didn't have much chakra, she had to try it on something small and with a much lower level. She used it on Suki and Yoromaru, but it didn't work out like she wanted to. Enko didn't need to be told the rest to figure it out on her own, so basically she fucked up a clan technique, and now you guys are stuck with two wolf pups. The woman bluntly summed it all up. Technically they just follow us around. Whatever she did made them see us as allies. We tried putting them back with the pack, but that didn't work. For whatever reason, the wolves of the dungeon now saw the pups as enemies. So they stick to Hato mostly. Pack thing, I guess. Naruto wasn't that much of an expert on dogs and wolves. Then what's with her bitching and moaning? Suki-chan and Yorikun see Ino-chan's hair as their chew toy. Hinata giggled softly. It's not funny. Even now the two were eyeing the girl's hair. The act unnerved her. Do you know what it's like trying to get a dog to let go of something it likes? Not to mention the smell of dog drool permeating her locks. Hello, Naruto pointed at his partner in crime. Arf. Ugh. Can we just get out of here, please? Ino cursed the day she used the technique. Ino didn't know if it was because they were young and still developing or because she performed it wrong. Either way, they were stuck with them. Flashback. 1 month ago, dungeon time. Ino effortlessly moved so the lunge the direwolf caused it to overshoot. Once its body came into range, she lashed out with a kick with enough for to knock it into boulder. The girl then proceeded to rain a series of fast kicks and precise slashes from her chakra-coated knives before it disappeared. Okay, that's the last of them, she heard Naruto declare. You know the drill. Yeah, I got it, Naruto. One would think the blonde would understand. They knew their routine by now. Due to his knowledge and superior skill, the blonde was the unofficial leader of the group. He wasn't the greatest, but Naruto had a knack that was slowly starting to bloom. During their time in the dungeon, they quickly picked up a few things. One was that animal dens had the odd ore vein that gave them lumps of metal ore ranging from copper to iron. On the rare occasion, they even found veins that had small deposits of chakra metal ore. However, the most common items these dens had were hidden caches and rare herbs. Said herbs were quite useful for their curative properties, to which Hinata's crafting skill and medical skill enabled her to turn them into a decent healing paste when combined with other ingredients. Due to his Naruto's superior strength, compared to Ino and Hinata, he mostly took care of acquiring the ores. However, Ino and Hinata pitched in as well to increase their strength and endurance too. This wasn't the sole reason why they did this. As the group returned to Konoha, the items they had left would be sold for a pretty amount. Shopping spree, here I come. Not being able to go to the mall for so long was going to feel very good for her. Grr. The sound instantly had Ino on alert, and she prepared herself for combat. That is until she saw the origin of the noise. She stifled a laugh. "Oh, that's cute," she remarked. 2 wolf pups, one white and one black, were growling at her. Not that it really mattered. Their current levels were much too low to pose any real threat. In fact, this gave Ino the opportunity to test the clan technique she was fiddling with. Performing a series of hand seals, Ino then called out her technique, Shinran Enbyo no Jutsu, Mind Disturbance Dance Performance Technique. An aura of blue chakra enveloped her targets, momentarily increasing in intensity, and causing a flash that made her temporarily lose focus. Canceling it out, Ino was greeted by the sight of 2 docile wolf pups. But no matter how hard she tried, the effects of the technique didn't buff out. Oh. Flashback end. Once it was apparent the 2 weren't going away, Hinata, upon laying eyes on them, had made it clear they were keeping them rather than getting rid of them. The girl knew they'd be left behind once they left the dungeon, but hadn't cared. Plus it allowed Hadamara to spend time with his own kind, one that wasn't trying to kill him. For Anko, it had only been a week since they last saw her team. That was 28 days dungeon time with the little monsters. Why they were fascinated with Ino's hair she didn't know. At first it was cute, but then it got old very quickly. Now Ino was happy to be leaving them behind. They'd be fine, right? Well, say your goodbyes, kiddies. Hope you're ready, 'cause the exams are right around the corner. 2, they were a mere 3 weeks away actually. Konoha would be hosting them much earlier than usually to fit everyone's schedule. Everyone's schedule, including Anko's, was going to be hectic for the next little while. She didn't doubt her time would kick ass, but experience taught her that nothing was set in stone. Naruto had already come to terms with it as he said his goodbyes. Ino's goodbye was curt, though inwardly she felt a bit bad. Hinata was free with her emotions and didn't want to let go of them. Once she did, Naruto uttered the command and all 4 of them left the place that had been home for the last 4 months in a flash of white. Konoha, once the light faded, the group found themselves in the exact same spot as they had left so many months ago. Well, 1 month ago, technically. Finally, we're out. Well, I'm gonna. Are you fucking kidding me? Aru. Arf. Suki and Yora both howled. Why? Ino whined, ignoring Hinata as she cuddled the 2. Challenge: take a monster out of the dungeon has been completed. Reward: 3000 EXP. The hell? I thought you could only take out objects, Anko nearly exclaimed, ignoring the pop-up. That's what I though. Guess not. That was actually pretty cool in Naruto's opinion. But who's gonna take care of him? Naruto had the living space, but it was a fixer-upper. He already had Hato, and it had taken him a while before the Nikken started listening to him and get as strong as he currently was. If they were older, I could probably use them as guard dogs for my home, but they were far too young for that. I'd love to, but my clan won't allow it. Hinata was happy they were here, but disliked being unable to provide for them. It might have been possible had they been a Nikken breed instead of a wolf breed. Don't look at me, Ino quickly added. Naruto and Hinata gave her a look that pretty much said this is your fault, so you deal with it. Okay, stop. This is going nowhere, Anko interjected, unable to take any more. Gaki, take the 2 and hand them over to the Inuzuka. You can have them back when they're trained and old enough. Pretty sure some would love a couple of rare breeds. That's not a bad idea. He had only been there for a brief period of time, but Naruto knew the clan would take good care of them. His only concern was Yoru and Suki not getting along with the other pups like Hato did. Are we done here? I'd really like to take a hot shower, Ino fidgeted. Anko merely laughed. Go home, Blondie. Be in front of the Inuzukas in an hour, and be in front of the Hokage Tower in 2 days. Her genin had earned themselves a break. It wouldn't be long though, with the exams being just around the corner. Before you do, Anko made a hand sign and watched as all 4 of her genin glowed. A rush coursed through them and they knew it was their chakra. The sensation that was like a dam that only allowed a little bit to escape was now flowing much more freely. I'll never get used to that. Feels weird, really, not bad weird, simply weird in Naruto's opinion. Thanks, sensei. Yeah, thanks. Bye. Ino thanked before the girl flickered away. Yamanaka clan, Enoichi paced back and forth as he awaited the arrival of his one and only child. Currently with him his old friend and the leader of the Akimichi clan, Choza. Enoichi, relax. It's only been a month. Don't forget, we were gone much longer when we were younger. That's different. This is my little girl we're talking about here. The longest she's ever been gone was a little over a week, Enoichi countered. True. But even then you were worried. Then again, even he worried and still couldn't believe it when he learned about the B-rank turned S-rank mission. Only a rare stock of genin could deal with that. But this isn't some mission gone wrong, Enoichi. It's just a training exercise so she and her team can be ready for the Chunin exams. You don't see her mother fussing over it. That's because Benton is. The man stopped as his wife suddenly appeared. Her smile and regal features was offset by the cold and dangerous aura only women were known to possess. Enoichi was pretty certain Benton mastered it to a whole different level. Because I'm what, dear? She asked ever so sweetly. Both men had shivers down their spines, regardless that it was aimed only for Enoichi. A beautiful, intelligent, and highly independent woman, Enoichi quickly told her, knowing it was the truth and that it would placate his wife. The man released a sigh of relief as she lost her frightening aura. Despite semi-retiring from the active forces when Ino was born, Benton hadn't lost her touch. Choza, however, merely bellied a chuckle. It was no wonder why she and Yoshino got along so well. Both of them had his teammates whipped like obedient dogs. Though if rumors of Benton's youth were true, it was more literal than figurative. I'm home. A voice the clan home had not heard in nearly a month sang. For a fraction of a second, Choza and Benton believed Enoichi's speed rivaled their late yondaime as he appeared before the door. Sweetheart. Enoichi, Benton, and Choza had stunned looks on their faces as they saw who stood before them. You know? Benton blinked, not believing her eyes. Miss you, love you, gonna take a shower. Later. She told them and quickly made a beeline towards the shower. Benton was the first to come to her senses and quickly followed after her somewhat older-looking daughter. Enoichi and Choza, however, merely bore stunned looks. My baby girl. She's grown up, Enoichi couldn't help mutter. The man also couldn't stop the flood of unwanted thoughts that began to cross his mind. Leaving home. Dating. Boys. Sex. Oh, sweet Cammy. No! No sooner did the thought occur did Shikaka enter the room. Seeing a mumbling and incoherent Enoichi, Shikaka looked at Choza, asked what was wrong. He received one word from his Akimichi teammate. Ino, Choza said. When the Nara cocked his brow, the man elaborated, she's different. Troublesome? More or less asking if he wanted to know the whole story or not. Troublesome, Choza nodded. Shikaku immediately let the matter go. My little girl, Enoichi sobbed. The other sweat dropped at the sight. Both were thankful they had sons. Hyuga clan, those who knew him could describe Hayashi Hyuga in a few words: stern, stoic, strict, and proud. This often made others see the Hyuga patriarch as a cold and emotionless man. Which, in a sense, was true. Aside from the odd duck that popped up here and there, members of the Hyuga clan in general were known for their impassive nature. Even when angered, they were known to hold a facade of neutrality. Rarely did they show emotion in or outside the clan. In his younger years, when his brother, before their relationship strained, and his late wife were around, Hayashi was not afraid to show emotion. Reserved, yes, but not afraid. Only a select few nowadays, such as his youngest child and clan heir, ever saw such emotions, fleeting as they were. Except for today. Hayashi knew today was the day his eldest returned from her survival training. While strict and demanding on both his daughters, Hayashi still loved them. But it was evident that where Hanabi took after him, Hinata took after her mother. A statement that rung even truer the moment his eyes landed upon her. Greetings, Tsusama? Hinata bowed as Hayashi gawked, not registering the message. Only a month had passed, and yet the girl had grown this much. It was clear to him that the girl before was starting to look more and more like her mother once did. If he was honest, the notion unnerved him. Both because Hikari was once regarded as one of the most beautiful kunoichi in Konoha, turning more than a few heads as a result, and because Hinata's current appearance made him see the phantom image of his late wife. "Tusama?" Hinata blinked as her father continued gawking. Realizing what he was doing, Hayashi's face switched into its usual stance, mentally chiding himself and wondering how this could have happened. "Your training went well?" he asked. "Yes, Tusama. Enko-sensei said we passed." Hayashi's eyes furrowed a bit at the mention of her team. He had nothing against Inoichi's daughter, and while she was crass, Hayashi knew Enko took her duties seriously. It was the male member that he had initial concerns with. Hayashi had nothing personal against Naruto as a Jinchuriki, merely the pranks he tried pulling on some of his clansmen. It didn't mean he wasn't worried. The Yondaime was a master of seals, but having worked alongside him in the past, Hayashi knew Minato wasn't perfect as many assumed him to be. The fame of a man such as Minato's had a tendency to be glorified or exaggerated by the masses. Master or no seal, no matter how many claimed or disputed the matter, was ever going to be 100% perfect. Unlike his late wife, Hayashi was more pragmatic than an idealist. Hinata watched as a flash of sadness flickered in her father's eye. "Tusama, are you alright?" "Fine." The response came out harsher than he intended. Hinata flinched, but Hayashi noted she didn't look downwards as she normally would. "She has grown." He idly wondered what it would have been like had Enko and not Kurenai was instructed to teach her so many years ago. "Very well. Tomorrow, no, in 2 days you will show me how much you have improved." "Yes, Tusama." Hinata knew better to argue with the man. Inuzuka clan, later in the evening. "Oitsum!" Enko shouted as they arrived at the compound. "Get your ass out here, you bitch!" "Enko-sensei." Hinata couldn't believe the woman. This was a clan head after all, and a very strong one according to her father. "Oh, we're dead." Ino never personally met the woman, but she often heard stories from her father. Sim was a vicious and fierce fighter. Despite how she acted, the woman was a very competent clan head and leader. However, piss her off and it wasn't gonna be pretty. It didn't help that she was one of the few clan heads still on active field duty while the rest did most of their work within Konoha. Talk about deja vu, Naruto thought, trying to get the ringing out of his ears as well. "Snake bitch!" a voice called back in response. Within seconds he spotted the form of Kiba's mother along with her Niken Kuramaru, the matriarch of the clan, looking just as feral as the day he first met her. The woman was about to ask what was going on until she spotted Naruto. Seeing her eyes narrow, Naruto stiffened. "For the last 4 months, I faced giant beasts from a time long forgotten and lived to tell about it. Why the hell is that look of hers scaring the living shit out of me?" Naruto felt a lump in his throat as the woman and her wolf partner marched over. Remembering what Enko told him the first time around, Naruto stood firm and didn't back down. "This better not be bad news about your Niken, pup," Some practically growled. Kuramaru bared his fangs and released a growl. Given where he was for the last little while, the act didn't scare him as much the Niken hoped. "Hato? Oh, he's fine. Damn Mutt's back home and sulking after Hinata gave him a bath. He hates him, but Hinata knows how to make him take it," he told her. Sum's eyes softened and chuckled at that. Kuramaru huffed, which Naruto guessed was his own version of a laugh. "Yeah, I get it." Akamaru was the same for a while. He was hell-bent on getting away when he heard the water flowing too. Enter Hana, and he was less reluctant, she recalled. The woman had some good laughs whenever her son tried and failed to bathe his Niken. The boy would become pissed and give Akamaru the stink eye when Hana faced no such difficulties. "By the way, Enko, what have you been feeding these kids?" Granted, she wasn't the tallest of women, but Sim noticed that Naruto was much taller than before. At 5'5", Naruto now had a good 2 inches on her, while Ino and Hinata were only an inch or 2 shorter than herself. "So, what can I do you for?" "Sim-sama," Hinata bowed to the clan head, "we were wondering if you and your clan were willing to help us." Sim gave the girl a quick look over, and despite her fierce look the woman's eyes became warm and soft. "Hikari's girl, right?" Hi. Hinata nodded and briefly watched as Sim's eyes saddened. "You look so much like your mother did, pup." Damn shame what happened to her. Damn shame, while not her teammate, more than once had they worked alongside one another. The woman had been a great tracker and medic, which was an odd combination. Aside from Hayashi, despite having the air of a man with a stick up his ass on occasion, Hikari was one of the few Hyuga clan members that Some liked. "Thank you, Some-sama," was Hinata's sincere reply. Some merely smiled before her gaze fell on Ino. Said smile morphed into a smirk soon after, knowing exactly whose daughter she was, Benton's kid, right? Yup, Ino proudly admitted. Talented Kunoichi, your mother. Knows her poisons and knows how to make men and women spill their guts for her, Ino beamed with pride. Terrible gambling player, worst I've ever seen. But damn, did she not make up for it with that talented tongue of hers, Some barked out laughing. More than once did she and Benton have a few wild nights before the latter settled down with Inoichi. How that happened, Some didn't know. While she was curious to find out, it wasn't that big a priority. Ino blushed with embarrassment, along with her teammates. Hinata went scarlet and had to be caught by an equaling blushing Naruto. Enko merely laughed her ass off. Despite how Benton dressed and looked, it was no secret to the Yamanaka heiress that her mother had been adventurous in her early years. Having found out by accident over a year ago, after she accidentally coming across her mother's old attire, Ino had eventually come to terms with it. She never admitted out loud, but recently Ino fiddled with the idea. It wasn't uncommon really, as Enko taught her that most kunoichi were either bisexual or bi-curious. Ninja, male and female, were also known to prone to these thoughts during puberty. More than once had the idea crossed her mind. What hadn't crossed her mind was meeting one of her mother's former partners. Awkward. Some, scarring these genin is my job, not yours, Enko told her. Fine. Spoil my fun, the clan had said before becoming more civil. So, with that out of the way, what do you need my help for? Fweet. Naruto whistled. Aru. Arf. Sim and Kuramaru watched as two small wolf pups came rushing towards them. The woman cocked an eyebrow, as she unable to recognize the breed. As soon as they were within range, the two dire wolf pups spotted Kuramaru and became submissive to the alpha. Some-sama, this is Suki and this is Yoramaru, Hinata informed the clan head. Cute, was all she said, and despite her look, she was being honest. She'd be lying if weren't true, too. No parents? Hey Mom, we're gonna need to order some. Oh. Sorry, didn't know you were busy. I'll come. Hana, Sim's eldest and future matriarch of the clan, dropped her clipboard the moment her gaze landed on the two pups. Where did you find these two? The young woman practically shouted, surprising her mother and Kuro. Do you realize what these two are? Yeah. Dire wolves, Naruto answered. What? Some sudden and explosive shout almost knocked them off their feet. Hana, if this is a trick. It's not a trick. Having read and memorized virtually every book regarding Niken, dog, and wolf, and their various lineages, Hana knew a dire wolf when she saw one. The fact she was seeing two was nothing short of miraculous. Where did you find them? Dire wolves have been extinct since the era of warring states. The last known sight of them was over 200 years ago. Niken breeders at the time would fight tooth and nail for a single one. Dire wolves not only lived much longer than common wolves but were also the best of the best among wolf breeds, especially those with the alpha gene. Any offspring they had with Niken had the potential to become among the most powerful. Never mind how great their senses would be. Found M during the end of our survival training. Their mom was dead and had a ton of slashes on her. Looked like she went down fighting, was the lie they came up with. How'd you know they were dire wolves? Hana asked suspiciously. Video game, was Naruto's response. What? You know what, I don't care. I'm not gonna bother asking. These two are getting a checkup and going on a proper diet for the next little while. Still, can't believe our luck, hold it. Never said we were giving them away. We found them, they're ours, Ino proclaimed. You wanna run that by me again? At first glance Hana wasn't as feral as the rest of her clan, but it was clear as day she had the Inuzuka temper when pushed. Though slightly intimidated, Ino was undeterred. I don't want M. Hinata's clan most likely won't let her, but Naruto is interested in M. Naruto nodded. He was interested in the two. Here's the thing. I've already got Hato, so I'm not looking for another Niken partner. I'd like to keep M, but with the exams and everything else my schedule's kinda nuts. Personally, I'd like to have Suki and Yoru as guard dogs whenever I'm not around, but they're too young and I don't have time to train them. Here Naruto stopped to take a breath. I'll visit and train them whenever I can, but I need your help. We're a clan, pup. We don't do things for free. Hato had been given to him, but that was because they bonded and some owed Naruto due to the Lost Scroll incident. What's in for us? And here was the part Enko schooled him. In exchange for looking after M until they are old and trained enough, you guys get the exclusive right to breed M when they're older.